Do we have sound? Might be low. Hmm. Anyway, that was my first time ever playing the intro on the 12 string. Yeah. And that was, by the way, that is the intro for the Trusty Ape song, Ape-ish Tendencies, as performed by myself and Trusty Apes. And that is available somewhere on the internet. I don't know if you can search it up. Good to see Skeptic Philosophy out there. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, I kind of set this one up on the fly, and then had to get the woman and the kids squared away there. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of time together here. Welcome, and good to see you, and thanks for watching. Anybody who's here in the past, present, or future, this is the Church of Ape for October 26th, 2025. And of course, I am the Trusty Ape. You are the Trusty Ape. We are all Trusty Apes in some sense. So I had a couple of Jim Bob videos in the pipe, and then this one came up the other day. I watched maybe like half of it, and I thought it was kind of interesting and funny. I thought we could look at it and talk about it. So I believe that I know who this caller is. I don't think he ever asked for his name or anything. It was not what I could see of the exchange. Let's see if you recognize what I recognize. Oh, my sound is low. Okay. Let me see if it works better if I go back to phone. Is this better? Can you hear me now? Yeah, it looked low to me, but then I thought maybe I was just tripping. I always just turn the mic up. Let me know. Okay, better. Good, good. So this obviously thumbnail or yeah, it says evolution destroyed, and the actual title of the video is Wild Exchange with Evolution Colin. Unfortunately, it's not entirely clear whether this, because of the way he does his thing, whether this occurred on his channel or he's raiding another stream, or how this, what the context is. It's not that important, but I like to have context. Also, I'm on a new device, so hopefully we just got better quality in general. It's been working much better over on Zoom, so hopefully it does so on StreamYard as well. So cool beans. Jump right into this one. Evolution destroyed.
There you go. I got it for you.
All right, cool. All right. So let's talk about evolution. First, let's define what evolution is.
Okay, so evolution is different than the theory of evolution by natural selection. All right, when I say evolution, and when pretty much every evolutionary biologist says it, they mean that it's an observed change, or it is a change that has happened in the characteristics of a population over time.
A population.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, so you're saying a change happens within a population. So if you say a population is like a bunch of giraffes, you're saying evolution is observing a change within the population of the giraffes?
Within a population and all of its descendants.
Okay.
That is the course. No, listen. That is the movement of the evolution. That is the
direction
movement of the population. Yes.
Okay. So evolution
from the ancestors to the descendants.
So evolution has a.
So I think this caller does elaborate that he's actually not like an evolutionary biologist, or maybe he is, or he's in school or something like that. Not sure, but yeah, the way that he's explaining this now, but I don't know if anybody's recognized the voice yet. I started to pick up on it pretty quickly, but
The direction.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is base for.
I guess
I mean, I will say a hint: the person I'm thinking of, if this is them, is what I would call a friend of the channel, somebody who's been on a few of my streams and in my chats as well. So
time has a direction.
Time is immaterial. There's no direction of time. So if there's changes, would you define a population is made up of a bunch of individuals that are also have changes between each other?
That have variation between each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you saying that populations themselves would be an effect produced by what you call evolution?
What do you mean by it?
That if populations are made up of varying individuals of the same population, of the same group of type of animal, right? That's like a giraffe is made up of a bunch of giraffes that are also variations of each other.
that can all procreate with each other, right?
Yeah.
Because they're all giraffes.
Yes.
I feel like this is a trick question, or you're just like playing word games, because by definition, a population would have to entail more than one, right? Otherwise, you just have an individual. You wouldn't. Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So the population itself of a giraffe was
And Skeptic Philosophy says the only distinction is macro versus micro.
produced by evolution, right?
Produce.
There was a time where giraffes didn't exist the way they exist. You're saying that evolution.
Well, they do get like certain things confused. Like I know I've heard Jim Bob say this before, where he's like saying that like biological evolution is akin to or like the same field of study or whatever as something like planetary evolution or cosmic evolution or whatever those ideas are, right? Where it's not the same at all. I mean, I guess certain principles about it are similar, but it's so but he conflates all of those together.
The process
Well, the
through
way they
change.
exist, like, are you saying the way they currently exist?
Yes, the way we look at a giraffe and say that's a giraffe and not a cow or not a dog or a shark. When we look at a giraffe as a population, there's a male and female giraffe. There's a way they operate. There's a nature to giraffes. They reproduce with each other. We call that a population of giraffes. Under the evolutionary view, did evolution, the process of changes through random mutation, produce what we see today as the giraffe?
I would say that if there is a population in the past that we know has descendants in the present day, we would know that evolution took course, even in very minor, just the change of shit that doesn't even matter, very minor stuff. Evolution is taking course from the beginning original population to the modern population, which descends from the original population.
So did evolution, the process, produce the original population?
Well, physical reality produced the original population. I don't know what
Physical
I don't know what you
reality?
get by
Hold
produced.
on a second. Physical reality is made up of rocks and clouds. Clouds didn't produce the population, right?
Aren't animals
I like if he was like physical reality is rocks and clouds, as if biological organisms don't make up the physical reality. He's like, no, that's just the landscape, bro. Like, he's, yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. And Skeptic Philosophy got that wrench for you there. Sorry, it's taken a while, but definitely trust you with that. And also, Skeptic Philosophy said it is a semantic word game. I agree. And I think that's what Jim Bob really tries to do, to use right his whatever, because he does have a way of speaking that is able to confuse people and kind of direct away from the point, or I don't want to say like it's well, it's like obfuscation, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Animals, are physical? Are animals not physical?
Which part of physical reality produced the first population?
I know this one. I know this one. Oh.
Game. You're not ready for it.
Atoms and fucking quarks and
Atoms and
No. See, I think he's off. I think we would, in this case, we would have to say chemistry, right? Like the chemicals in the elemental particles. Is that right? No. But yeah, it's chemistry that makes life possible, right?
What do you think?
quarks produced the first population?
I'm not trying to defend abiogenesis or something.
I didn't say
I'm just talking about
abiogenesis.
evolution, theory of
No,
evolution.
it sounds like you're saying evolution. You're saying that what we see as a population is produced by a biological genetic process called evolution. Therefore, any population you look at must be
You
produced
just didn't even
by.
listen to what I said then.
Is any
I said
given?
that evolution is the change between a original population and
I
a
understand.
descendant population.
I understand, but you're granting
Okay,
yourself a
okay.
population. I don't grant you
No,
a
I'm not.
population.
I'm just defining what evolution is. That
Do you
it is the change
understand?
between an original population
yeah,
and
cool,
a descendant population.
cool.
Yeah, they always seem to skip over this too, and it just kind of occurred to me that like all living things like are basically like mostly made up of carbon, right? Like that's it, right? And then it's like different variations on the chains or whatever. So technically all made of the same stuff, like at the like at the particle level, but arranged in different ways, which is like yeah, how you get variation and stuff. I guess I think I'm kind of yeah.
Cool.
Go,
Do you,
at least going in the right direction there, but they're not going to go there. I don't
you
think.
need you need populations to talk about evolution?
Yeah, I guess. Of
Okay. So you
biological organisms.
Yeah. So you need populations to talk about evolution, but if populations are a result of evolution, you need a mechanism of evolution to produce populations.
When did I say that populations are strictly a result of evolution?
If you
The only
tell
way
me
they can come
tell
out
me
is through
one
evolution. Did I say
tell,
that? Did I say that?
tell me one population you're going to look at. Tell me one population you're going to look
You notice how he did it back to him? I love that. This is where I'm like, okay, I think I know this guy.
at that isn't a product of evolution from your view.
I guess a population which has descended all other populations then. Or
That doesn't make
descended-
any sense. The descendant means populations exist. You can't descend from a
No,
non-population.
I mean that has.
He kind
Means
of
populations
recoiled.
exist. You can't descend from a non.
Or
That doesn't make
descendant.
any sense.
A population which has descended all other populations then. Or
That doesn't make
descended.
any sense. The descendant means populations exist. You can't descend from a
No,
non-population.
I mean that has parented. That is
Yeah. So from a population.
that originates. Sorry.
Yeah.
Skeptic Philosophy says he is trying to conflate evolution with abiogenesis. Yeah, they are going to start discussing that a bit too. Yeah, a population is an observed fact. He's trying to muddy the waters with a backhanded way of asking how the first population started. Pretty much, yeah. That's ultimately what it is. How do you get life from non-life? And it's simply answered, like you said, the chemistry, right? I mean, that's my understanding as like a lay person.
Yeah.
That
Tell me
originates
one
with a
population that
population.
doesn't originate from a previous population.
When I say chemistry, obviously I'm talking about like a chemical reaction of some kind that occurs. So you need the matter plus the energy. Things happen. Yeah.
The very first population, then I would guess.
The very first population. So,
Definition,
so how did you grant yourself the very first population then?
Because if there's a population, then the second population, then the third one, then the
I
fourth
didn't
one, then it has
ask
to be
if
a
you
logical
have a
first one.
dude.
Like, there's not a
I
first-
didn't.
You
I
believe
didn't.
there was a first population?
Dude, I didn't ask you. I didn't ask if you grant
do
yourself.
you
I
believe
s-
that there was a first
Dude,
population?
what I believe is irrelevant right now. Now stay focused. You grant yourself a first population. I said,
Oh, the interrogation tactics. Like I've seen so much of that now. I'm just like, like if ever I was in a room with this person, I would just, look them right in the eyes and just tell them to fuck off and walk away, right? Like, no, sir. You're not interrogating me today. Are you a police officer, Jimbo?
how is it from your view that you grant yourself a first population if from inductively from your evolutionary view, populations themselves have to be a product of a previous one?
I want to call your attention
You
to
got a
an
lot of ads on
earth-shattering
this
change
video,
that's happening
geez.
in our society that I know you're aware of. AI.
Jim Bob must be running low on funds or something. I don't know. Up to
When did I say
ads.
that populations
Is
always...
it inductively true from an evolutionary view that anything you're looking at as
What's
a
an
population?
evolutionary view?
Dude, stop
I haven't even
interrupting.
explained it.
Shut up for a second.
I just explained what
Stop
evolution is, not
interrupting
the
me.
evolution.
Stop interrupting me.
Okay.
I asked you, can you point to any population today that you look at, a population of giraffes or anything else, that didn't come from existing populations?
Are you talking about any populations in the modern era?
Any population of individual animals that make up the population that didn't come from the previous population?
That we
Yeah, so like a infinite regress type of chain argument or something like that, where like obviously we're gonna have to like pull out the elephant in the room at some point here, but it just takes a really long time because he plays word games. You just can't be direct about what he's saying. Hey, Halsey, good to see you. Much love.
we can observe today?
Yes.
Sure, the first population.
No, we don't observe the first population today. You just said, dude, what is wrong with your brain?
For anybody just arriving, I am trying to. So I believe I know who the Jim Bob's interlocutor here is, but he doesn't ever give a name in this stream, and I'm not sure where it's originally from. Maybe we can check the description or something. I don't know if I did that before, but either way, it's a guess that caller. It's somebody, I think, if I'm correct, somebody who's been on this channel a number of times before, and so it's a little fun game I thought we'd play. See if you guess the same way I did, or if you have a guess. Skeptic Philosophy says, you don't have to come from a population. We have asexual procreation from lone animals. This is a chain. It's not a population. Yeah. Asexual reproduction, and then like they basically don't they have some species that like essentially clone themselves? Is that the same? Is that what we're the same thing we're talking about? Kind of. Yeah.
Sorry, I just forgot. Talking a bit. No. We know all populations today are descendant from populations.
That's right. So inductively, if
we're
you
not
can't,
alive today.
yeah. So if inductively what you know about populations is they come from previous populations, there's no way for you to use evolution as a mechanism to produce populations because you need populations first.
Or is that a law then? Is that a law that populations always 100% always come from previous populations?
No, it's inductively true.
Oh, so it's always true. That statement is always true.
No, do you know what
inductively?
do you know what induction means?
You induce it from you think of something from positive facts about.
Yeah, inductively true means it seems to be the case from derivative from a set of particulars that it's likely the case, and there's no reason to otherwise. Well, you obviously don't, because I just asked you, is it inductively true from your view that populations come from previous populations? The answer is yes, right?
That the populations today or the populations?
Any population you know
population.
of, bro. Any population you can conceive of from your view of evolution being the cause of variation among organisms. Is there any example of a population that doesn't come from something before it that's also part of a population?
Not that we currently observe on
Okay,
Earth
cool.
today.
Okay, so when I look at giraffes and you say evolution produced the population of giraffes, what you're saying is that previous animals that
I didn't say
existed.
evolution produced the population of giraffes. I just said evolution occurred
No, yeah, that's what Jim Bob said. He never agreed to it.
from the original ancestor of the giraffe to the current giraffe.
So you mean it produced the current giraffe?
Evolution, no, it just is the name for what's changed between the original
So the change,
ancestor and the
yes.
current giraffe.
So the change is an effect of a process, right?
What if you were prepared for all those interview curveballs?
Oh my goodness.
The change.
The change, the current existence of giraffes, which you're saying is a change, a type of change, comes from a different type of existence of a giraffe.
I guess evolution would be a category of change.
Yeah, evolution, is it a category of change or is it a mechanism?
Just evolution, it's a category of change. Just
Okay,
evolution.
So any change
but
in
not
anything.
the theory of it.
I mean, I think technically evolution itself is a process, right? And then there are mechanisms by which the process occurs. I mean, and then, yeah, it is a category of various processes that take place in the physical universe that allow for what we observe, what we experience, right?
Of evolution by natural selection. Those are two different things.
Oh, they're different. Okay, so do you believe do you believe scientific theories require some prerequisite to call them scientific theories?
Like they would have to meet the definition of a scientific theory to be a scientific theory, sure.
And there's things that are posited as scientific theories that aren't because they don't meet the criteria?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Are there any things any examples of things posited as scientific theories that are actually pseudoscience because they don't meet the criteria of a scientific theory?
Of course.
Okay. So
Well, it's not that they don't meet the criteria of a scientific theory. The problem is if they are not accepted, then there's it's similar to a syllogism. It has to be like both sound and valid. Like it can make sense and still not be true, and so still be like a good scientific theory, but that doesn't have good like data or studies or whatever, like things to back it up, right? And so then it would be rejected. So it's not bad in theory, it's just not true.
So you agree that there's a rigid
something as a scientific theory.
Okay, so you hold that there's a rigorous criteria for what constitutes a scientific theory. Can you tell me what that is?
If there's a rigorous definition of it.
As long as it's defined, then it's rigorous?
If it's rigorously defined, I mean,
yeah, is a scientific theory rigorously defined?
When did we start talking about the scientific theory method, my friend?
Yeah, is the scientific method rigorously defined?
I guess I've seen different versions of it.
Is there multiple versions of the scientific theory?
Yeah, I mean, like the way it's organized, but
okay. Can you tell us the most
before
common?
You'd have to ask a question, or
yeah. Can you tell us the root?
What does that have to do with?
Is evolution a scientific
theories? Listen. Do you think scientific theories are the result of going through the scientific method?
Yes.
No.
No, really? So what? Okay, cool. What? Okay, cool. So
Brilliant.
tell me what a scientific theory is then, if it's not something that's the result of the scientific method.
It's a well-supported explanation for a phenomenon in the natural world.
And how do you know the explanation is?
If you want, that's a textbook definition.
And how do you know I understand, dude.
Okay.
Stop it. How do you know the explanation is verifiable or null?
If it's verifiable or
supported by evidence, I think is the word.
Falsifiable? You mean?
Yeah. How do you know? How do you test it?
Okay. You would compare it to evidence.
You just get the philosophy. This is so abstract. But if it makes it makes predictions. I think yeah, exactly. The theory makes the predictions. Then you go out and you test and you see whether the predictions come true, right? That's usually kind of how that process works.
I mean, you compare it to evidence.
You compare it to evidence
and see if it holds up to the evidence.
What? Okay, so look, if we both observe the same phenomenon and I say X is causing the phenomenon, you say Y is causing the phenomenon, what's the arbiter to determine whether either of us are right or one of us is right?
I think that's like precisely what a correlation causation fallacy is, right?
We would see the relationship between X or Y and whatever it caused or something.
And how do you establish the relationship? Is it by introducing X to a controlled environment and then removing X, and then introducing Y to the controlled environment and removing Y, and seeing which one actually produces the phenomenon? Would you say that's a arbiter for competing hypotheses?
That could be one way to find a relationship.
Is there any?
Is that the only way? Is that the only way?
Is there any other way other than
only way?
I'm asking you? Is there any other way to arbitrate between two competing hypotheses other than an experiment?
Hold on. Yeah.
How? What is
yeah,
it?
it's a hypothesis, the statement. Yeah. Two statements.
Hey,
Yeah, what's
welcome
going
in.
on?
Not
You're
much. How you
bad
doing?
in there. Very well.
Good.
No, this guy, I haven't watched this guy but one time. Jim Bob, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think I saw him on one debate somewhere in which he was absolutely destroyed. But his whole game seems to be these kind of semantic things that he plays with words. And he asks these ridiculous questions and he leads them. I'm too curious though. Who is the guy? Who do you think this is that's calling, man? Because I don't think I know him.
Yeah, I don't know if you were here that night, but he was actually on like fairly recently, like it was like 2 or 3 shows ago, like when I did a live stream like this, and so he's been around for a while, but I don't know if you've had a chance to interact with him. I feel like I'm just giving it away now, but
okay, I'm sorry if you want to hold on to it for a while. I understand. I don't know who it is though.
Yeah. Yeah, let me. I'll hold on to it a little longer. I want to see if anybody comes in and guesses, because the voice is a little like, he sounds like scratchy to me, and I think he's like trying to like kind of keep it together for this conversation in a way because of what I know about him. So yeah,
I've heard a few people that I've seen on other debates or whatnot. Like I've seen Fireman pop up and he might announce who he was, and I could tell like who it was. And I've seen like Kahif or whatever that has been speaking on some of these little call-in ones like this, and they weren't saying who they were. But I honestly I don't know who this person is.
All right.
All right, let it roll.
We'll give Chad a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Statements, yes.
Tell me how. What's the
Not
other?
a scientific hypothesis. A scientific hypothesis needs to be backed up with experimentation.
Yeah, is evolution a scientific?
But listen,
Dude, is evolution?
Theories need to be confirmed by experiments.
Yeah, good. We agree now. So you went back on
Theories
your
need
previous
to be
claim.
confirmed by experiments.
Theories are the product of
We
experiments.
began with saying they did not need to be. Do you believe that they need to be?
I told you from the start, theories are the product, only the product of an experiment through the scientific method. You said no.
And listen, every professor,
Every professor, don't.
His theories are the product of the scientific method, which like is backwards, right?
Back and forward. They kind of have to, you develop theory off of some evidentiary basis, and then you further develop the theory. But the whole thing that they haven't yet said is that the theory has to create a predictive model that has to be able to predict something. It doesn't matter what genre it's in or what category. It has to be able to make a prediction.
And I guess Jim Bob's problem here is that they still haven't brought it up by name, abiogenesis, right? His problem is not whether the predictions work, in the future in the way that we're doing this, right? Like he wants his model to reach all the way back to the origin, right? So
Yeah. He's just ridiculous. The whole style, all of it is so ridiculous. It's hard to watch. But go ahead.
That's a fallacy. You're a fallacy. You are a fallacy machine. That's not an argument. That's a fallacy. How did you determine what every professor said? No, ask. You just made a claim. How did you determine what every professor says?
Oh, I guess I just use a bit of hyperbole then. I guess.
So you made it the fuck up, didn't you?
Oh, there's no source for that. There's no citation for that. I'm sorry, I couldn't give you that.
Yeah, it's just an unjustified statement. Okay, so if we agree,
really, so you think?
Listen. Stop spurging. Stop spurging.
Says that scientific theory is.
Stop spurging. So look.
Stop spurging.
Look.
Listen, stop spurging.
So it's also because of like interactions like this that give me like tells about the behavior here that also reminds me of this person. So I'll hold it a little bit longer. But
I guess I don't know. But
I will say he when I first met him, he told me he was a comedian. And when I see his work in various parts of YouTube, I'm like, okay, I get this style of comedy. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's doing loaded questions, though. I just wanted to point out, Bill's been doing loaded questions like constantly, and loaded questions are a type of logical fallacy. You are setting up a parameter that they can only answer inside of that parameter. So these loaded questions, if he's going to start calling out logical fallacies, I do hope whoever this is starts calling out everything that he's doing.
Yeah, well, I think he's focusing more on that trigger response, right? That's what he's trying to, because he seems like he's pretty like even keel, like a kind of reasonable. And then once he gets that trigger response, he kind of digs in a little bit and gets Jim Bob to get kind of worked up. So.
So who
You're
says that
crashing out
scientific theories are the product of the scientific method alone? Go find a professor who says that.
Go find a professor who says the scientific theory needs to be the product of the scientific method.
Yes.
Is that what you're asking me? What, any professor? That's what you're going to do now? You're just one professor that just holds that view? Okay.
A biology, yeah.
Okay,
a doctor in biology, yeah.
Okay, cool. So is evolution a scientific theory?
Imagine being able to build an app
So
with your
many
name on
ads.
it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
He should have just went with, if you go find me an evolutionary or go find me a biology professor that doesn't think evolution is
And
true.
what's the observation?
That would have been an
Hit the
easier
wrong
one.
button and then muted myself. Yeah, that would have been like the way to go, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do this whole, find me a professor find me a biology professor that thinks evolution isn't real.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, and you can even find some of those, right? But they're all in the creationist school, so.
Yeah. A professor, if you want to call them that, it's a creationist school. It doesn't have any accredited. It has no academics in biology. It has no promotion field. They're not going into the workforce from there. I don't know what there would be even taking biology courses for inside of a religious institution that's not accredited.
Right. Speaking of which, just on a side note, I heard apparently they are bringing back or trying to bring back. I don't know if they've actually effectively done this, but they're trying to put essentially like Bible education into like kindergarten, first grade classrooms in Texas. They've been trying to do that, but it seems like it's something that's more realistic now than it might actually happen.
Realistic now. It was all steps. It was all, first of all, this chartering. They wanted to do all this funding away from the publics and more into these charter schools to start with, so they could get more of a foothold in private education, and then progressively deconstruct the government educational board. So it is more realistic that it could actually happen now.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
that's scary stuff.
Let's take it to the scientific method. What's the observation?
There's no observation in the theory.
There's no observation in a theory? So what are you making a theory about if it's not an observation?
Give me a scientific theory that has an observation.
A scientific theory that has an observation? I observe this. I'm answering your question. Ed, shut up. Don't ask a question and then when I answer it, you talk over me.
We got something.
Did he call him Ed?
He did.
I think he said dickhead, but he censored it. Because his videos are monetized, so he had to wait. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said dickhead, and he censored
I thought he said
Ed. I observe this. I'm answering your question. Ed, shut up.
Oh no, he said fuck Ed.
He might have. You may.
Yeah,
I guess you're right.
Ask a question, and then when I answer it, you talk over me. Give me one example of a scientific theory that's from an observation. Okay.
So you're just going to restate the question?
I'm going to make sure you understand that I understand your question. Shut up! I observe what I call the symptoms of scurvy.
Oh, it's your time of month.
Shut up. I observe the symptoms.
He says it must be your time of month. I think that's what he said.
That was good.
Symptoms of scurvy. I have a hunch. I have a question. What causes scurvy? I investigate what might be causing scurvy, either the introduction or the absence of introducing something to the human body, and see if it produces the symptoms of scurvy. I repeat that experiment. I introduce and remove what I believe to be the variable that's causing, the lack thereof is causing this symptom, right? I come to a scientific conclusion, that's a theory, that's inductive, an inductive likelihood claim that says the absence of this or the failure to preserve meat causes this, seems to be causing this symptom called scurvy. That's from an observation. Now, you tell me one scientific theory that's made without an observation.
Now he's going into like medical clinical work, right? Like in medical practice, which is different from something like there's no theory of scurvy, right? There was a guy who theorized something, and that's different than like something like the germ theory of disease, right?
Right. Well, that's what I was fixing to get into, is actually what he's talking about is he's actually not seeing that interaction happen inside of the biology, and we don't observe that. We observe that introduction happened, and then we got this result. So we make correlations that this therefore caused that. And when it's not present, then the sickness doesn't happen. But we're not actually seeing this function play out inside of cells or anything. So when we call this germ theory, this is what this is. There is still a disconnect here. We don't have a direct we can see the mechanical interaction of how this is happening. We just see every time we do this, we get this results. When we don't do this, we get we don't get this results. So there is still a disconnect here, a huge disconnect, and it is in germ theory.
Definitely.
I asked you for a scientific theory. You couldn't even name one.
I just gave you one. What causes scurvy is a scientific theory.
What causes scurvy is a scientific theory.
Yeah, there's something.
No,
yes, dude, how do you think we determine what causes scurvy if it wasn't a scientific theory, you twat?
Fucking medical experimentation, probably.
An experiment? Is that a scientific experiment?
Yeah, it was probably a scientific experiment.
You retard. You just contradicted yourself. Yeah, that's a scientific theory.
Where did I contradict
Now here comes
myself?
the ad hominems.
If you're going to use that language.
I'll tell you if you shut up for a second. You just said what determines the cause of scurvy wasn't dictated by the scientific method, and you said it was dictated by medical experience. I said,
I think it's going to escalate, but they go on for like an hour here, I guess. Assuming this is the only caller, I think I made it about 30 minutes into this, and it gets a bit worse.
Medical experiments, scientific.
It was found by us through medical experiments.
Are medical experiments scientific experiments?
Yeah.
So you just contradicted yourself.
No, I didn't.
You just said that what causes scurvy wasn't determined. Dude, shut up. Shut up. You just said
and then
that.
You don't even care what people have to say then.
Stop crying. You just said that scurvy, what causes scurvy, wasn't determined by the scientific method.
Like the truth of the thing was determined by doing the experiment, or it was determined by
scientific
what actually happened?
What actually happened is they used the scientific experiment and controlled the environment
to find out.
The theory.
Discover it. Okay.
Yeah, the theory.
Okay, so
that's called the theory.
It wasn't determined; it was found out.
What? What did you say?
I mean, what
are you saying?
What do you think? Because that's not a scientific theory that X caused this.
It's not? What is it then?
It needs to be an explanation for a common natural phenomenon. I just disease.
Is a disease a natural phenomenon?
Yes.
You're a waste.
I was trying to figure out if I could do one of those start a poll in the chat, and I can't figure it out. But give him multiple choice. But yeah, at this point, I'm fairly convinced that this person is fucking with Jim Bob. He's focusing on behaviors and things like that. So that was kind of my read on this, and that's what I think is the funniest part. I mean, as bad as the argument is,
it's so abstract. And this is, I've heard Alex O'Connor talk about this, that what debates so often devolve into is just disagreements in definitions, that there's just
Yeah.
these constant like definitional games that are going on. And now like the whole point of anything resembling a point that they ever started on, it is completely lost. It's completely lost. And we're way out here in the bushes of what is scientific theory and what is, and just this whole semantics game. It's horrible. This guy has no control.
Yeah.
Waste of time. You just contradict yourself over and over again, but you're too
The
retarded.
theory of germs is a theory. The theory of atoms
You're
is a
too
theory.
retarded to even know what you're saying.
Listen,
Listen.
here's a scientific theory: plate tectonics.
Okay, you observed
I
that.
bet you don't believe that one.
Okay, and you observed what?
the scientific method for us?
Yeah. What is the scientific method? Tell us.
Fucking, you observe something, then you.
Oh, you observed something. You just contradicted yourself again. Go ahead.
Is this guy flat earther by chance?
You said you don't. You said.
You know-
I don't think Jim Bob is flat earther.
Well, I asked
I'm not
because
sure on that.
the other guy mentioned plate tectonics, but I guess you don't believe that. Why would he even say that? That seems
Well,
like
he
a
is-
strange
I
thing.
think he's YAC. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that common amongst young Earth creationists, the plate tectonics, that they don't believe in like drift, or they don't believe in what is it about plate tectonics that they're put off?
It's like formations like the Grand Canyon and things like that. They think were made by the flood, like the Great Flood, rather than
Okay. All right. Well,
said you don't need an observation for a scientific theory. So go ahead. What's the scientific
No, I
method?
never said that. I
Okay, what's the
never said
observation?
that.
What's the
Evolution by natural selection is.
okay? And what's the
scientific theory.
observation?
hey, welcome in, James Apperson.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, same here.
You're
I'm glad to
doing
see you
well.
were streaming and you had a link out there, and
Yeah.
you guys are dogging on Jim Bob. I'm like, man, it must be my birthday.
I've only heard him one debate before. How's it going, James? I think I've seen you on a video before. I think I watched one of your videos, but I don't think we met.
Yeah, I bounce around the network. I'm not as connected to it as I used to be, but I'm still present. The ghost in the machine. It's good to see you.
Yep.
Right. Let's get 'em.
Observation? Let's take it to the scientific method. What's the observation?
There's no observation in the theory.
There's no observation in a theory. So what are you making a theory about if it's not an observation?
Give me a scientific theory that has an observation. Then what would make plate tectonics a valid scientific theory?
Plate tectonics a valid scientific theory if you could reproduce the phenomenon. That's what would make it. That's an arbiter. That's what I'm saying. The arbiter for two competing hypotheses is experiment.
And he basically, because he's just denying that that's what we do with evolution, he's just like, no, it's not. Is that the argument?
I don't know. I think it's just so abstract. It's crazy to me. Like you can do the theory on like a crime, or if you see that there was footprints in a forest and you see footprints leading out of the forest, or they go in one direction, you could develop a theory. It doesn't, whether you call it a scientific theory or not, that those because you don't find the body, that there was a person that continued to walk out of here. And this is a theory based on what you're seeing. But are you seeing the body? No, you are seeing the signs that a body was there. So you still have observation that is changing states. So you have a footstep, and then you just assume that whatever was happening continues on. And this could be a theory. So I don't even really know why they're debating on the subject. I mean, we could say that the theory of evolution is based off of the observation of the systemic change, whether we're seeing footprints or whether we're seeing fossil records continuously change. We're still basing this off of observations.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Any thoughts on that, James?
I came in late. What's the context of the disagreement there?
So they're kind of tiptoed around, and they haven't really talked about abiogenesis. And so earlier, that was kind of the He was interrogating him on like where the first population arose or something like that, basically. And now he's just on to asking him whether or not he accepts other like well accepted scientific theories and why or why not. But Jim Bob's just trying to push the other direction.
Jim Bob's also playing these giant sweeping games, this all-inclusive terminologies, like a population comes from a population rather than a living animal comes from a slight variation of another living animal. So we're doing these whole kind of couch everything inside of terminologies, like a population is here because of a population, and where did the first population come from if there wasn't a population? So he's doing all these kind of semantic games too.
Sounds like he's jumping around a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. You don't have any
So
thoughts
you have
about
to be able to reproduce it, and the threshold at what a reproduction is might be in question. You might be able to say, like,
so if you do an
dude,
experiment a bunch of times, it makes a hypothesis a theory.
yes,
Not a bunch of times. You would have to reproduce it exactly as you're observing it.
Yes.
The problem with plate tectonics is the scale of it you can't reproduce. You would need to manufacture an
So it's
entire
not a
planet.
scientific theory.
No.
What? Yeah, no, it's not complete. You know, it's like it's at a scale. Like, hold on a second. There's a scale. Do you agree that there's a scale at which you can't manipulate an experiment?
Yeah, sure. I guess
Sure,
it's
the
not
Big
a
Bang.
Okay. Would you say at that scale you have limited access to what your conclusion is going to be because of the scale?
I guess we have limited access to all information. I mean,
Yes, yeah. So that's why there might be
Okay.
a threshold of size, right? Scale of something.
But how is that different from any other
How is
threshold of
how is
size
it?
or something?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because if I said, do you believe that certain ingested things cause certain problems and maybe even death?
Yeah, I'll say I watched this guy eat a berry and die. Sure.
Okay. And would you agree that in order to verify that as an inductive conclusion, you'd probably try to reproduce it at some scale?
To try to see if those berries kill people, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a scientific experiment?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So is that required? Let's say there was two kinds of berries and you were trying to distinguish which one actually caused what you were calling death. If it was the competing hypothesis was one berry versus the other.
Hold on. This
Would you agree
motherfucker
that the
said
only-
what you were calling death. I just wanted to point that out. Not death, but what you were calling death. I don't think we should just skip past that. What the hell is he talking about?
I mean, that's some Jordan Peterson level shit right there.
Exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, that's great.
Only way to arbitrate between the assumptions that one
What does
berry
this have
caused.
to do with-
Dude, shut up for a second.
I'm just asking.
Do you
okay?
shut up?
And then like now every time he talks to me, he just screams. He's like, "Shut up!"
Do you agree that in order to arbitrate between one person saying X berry causes the death and another person saying Y berry causes the death, do you agree that the only arbiter for figuring out which one is true would be an experiment?
Wait.
Build a website
Oh,
you
what?
love with Wix. For your
It
words,
doesn't have to be an experiment in the way he's talking about, though. It could be just a chemical analysis on the berries now.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
And given, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Well, the only arbiter, the only thing to do is do a
What
science
else? What
experiment.
else could you do?
I mean, ricin is
Probably,
the
like,
primary thing with berries now, right?
40,000 X berries.
Ricin?
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, I think that's the primary chemical that we get, like from deadly berries. I don't know if there's other chemicals that might be produced that are causing fatalities from eating berries. But I think it's ricin. I may be wrong, but whatever it is, I mean, a chemical analysis could determine this. We don't need to feed the berries to someone else and try to figure out what's what.
Let's see.
I think I would tell him, like Jim Bob. I mean, Jesus says it doesn't matter what we put in our mouth.
Right. Pray over it. If it's blessed and clean, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I should ask the question the other way. confused it. All right, I'll check it out.
It was in one
Yeah.
tiny piece of a wineberry. And see if he dies
That's an
like in an hour
experiment.
or
That's an
fucking tomorrow.
That's an experiment.
But I didn't remove the Y one. I just used less of it.
You're still introducing a variable and removing a
I'm
variable.
changing it. No, I'm changing the variable.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there were. It says that ricin poisoning is usually from seeds, but there's other chemicals from occurring in berries. That's what I'm seeing. But either way, yeah, you would be able to, like you said, like with any modern technology, you'd be able to get that chemical analysis and know what that, obviously, this is the cause. So.
Yeah, that's called an experiment. I asked you,
Okay,
is there
so
any
I'm not
other
removing the variable? I'm changing the
dude?
variable.
Is there any other way to arbitrate between?
You're trying to be rigorous.
Listen,
You're trying to
listen
say
to what I'm.
scientific theory-
Listen what I'm
scientific method
saying.
is rigorous,
Listen what I'm saying.
but you're not
Is it-
using rigorous
Listen to
definitions.
my words coming out of my mouth.
Just simple logic. I mean,
Listen. You don't know logic. You don't know any logic.
oh shit.
What are the 3 laws of logic?
Fucking.
Okay, cool. So here's the
Obama
thing.
Was,
Yeah, cool. You don't know. So great. So when I say there's 2 competing hypotheses and they're trying to come up with a theory for a phenomenon. If there's 2 competing hypotheses, my question was, how can you arbitrate between the 2 competing hypotheses without an experiment? You said an experiment.
no, because you defined an experiment wrong. You said the
Really?
removal of a variable.
You have
for
to
the-
introduce and remove.
So we need to do the experiment to do science. Like, wow, what an amazing concept. Like, thank you, Jim Bob, for clarifying that for us.
Move
Remove
it.
the variable.
You have to introduce and remove the variable.
No, you can
No,
just
you
change
don't.
the variable, and you can find. Can you not just change
Changing
the
the variable would be a type of removing it.
I guess if you don't care about the definitions of words, sure.
What word?
Is removing your house the same as changing it? Really, you're gonna say that?
Yeah, it is because
Changing
if
something is
look,
the same as removing it.
look, if you introduce
Greetings, Silverwolf. Good to see you. I think I said hi to you last time, and I'm not sure if you were there or it was like my imagination, but I see you this time. So.
level of
How about you say if you alter the
dude,
circumstances
dude,
of the
dude, unbelievable,
experiment.
man. You just can't even listen. So if you introduce a type of a magnitude,
Fucking horrible at listening.
listen. If you introduce a volume of poison, right? Changing the volume of the poison is changing the variable, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So if I
Changing the variable.
introduce 10 milligrams of poison and then I introduce 100 milligrams of poison, am I not in a sense removing the variable 10 milligrams with another thing called 100 milligrams?
Okay.
I wanted to point out that they're like 3 or 4 times
collaborate
removed
as a
from the original subject now. This is how far off the beaten path they are.
Yeah.
They're I think 4 times removed from the original subject matter.
Yeah, it was from. Where did we start with this?
It was from evolution. We were talking about evolution and trying to get definitions of whether they first of all got off of that and onto the tangent of whether it's a theory. I think Jim Bob wanted to challenge whether it had special pleading to be called a theory or a scientific theory. I don't think he used that term.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do.
Yeah, they never like came to that understanding of qualifying that what a scientific theory is. It is not the same as just having like a hypothesis or what's like colloquially known as a theory, right?
Sure, I guess if you use that
Okay,
very
then
specific
shut up.
slang of the word that
Yeah.
that no one would interpret the way
Cool.
you said
Do you
it,
think?
but okay.
Do you think random mutation produces a liver?
Oh, this is okay. It's not the only thing that produced the liver. There's also animals breeding and then
Animals.
environmental pressures.
Animals breeding, did they have livers or they didn't have livers?
I'm pretty sure livers came after sexual.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
They came after what? Sexual what?
Reproduction, I guess.
I want to know the model. I want to know the Christian model of like how it looked when animals were created, because I want to base like satirical arguments off of that. Like when God spoke and animals were made, did they form from the ground up? Did they fade into existence? Did they start at the top and just begin to generate all the way down?
Oh my God.
You know what the hell happened? Because then I want to ask them, well, you tell me which one come first. How did it generate whenever God spoke and they begin to materialize? You know, I mean, because this is what the alternative explanation is.
What came first, the chicken or the liver?
Right.
And they never ask about the rooster, you know? I mean, it's a whole other. Anyway.
Yeah.
Sexual fucking variation, like male female.
Oh, did evolution, random mutation produce male and female separation?
I wouldn't call it random because random implies like some whatever then. But yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay, so you have a story that random mutation
and well, not just random mutation and environmental pressures.
The pressures told the organisms to splinter off into penis and vagina.
Yeah, they spoke in English. The pressures went down and spoke in English.
Yeah, gotcha.
And they were like, "Yes, I will."
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yahweh.
That makes a lot of sense. And so
I love the way he responds to it. It's great.
Should have spent. We don't know what language they spoke in. It was probably the language that God spoke the world into existence. It was that language. That's
yeah. Likely Latin or Greek. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Garden of Eden
once you
language.
have male and female branching from non-male and female sexual reproduction, you're just granting yourself that from some process you can't explain. I'll grant it to you. Now that you have male and female populations.
I like how you're just assuming. I'm assuming things when I never say I assume them, but okay.
Okay, cool. So you have male and female populations of liverless organisms. How is it that from the evolutionary view? How is it that population of male and female produces from random mutation a liver?
Okay, we're almost an hour in. So once again, I mean, if anybody has any guesses, I know skeptic philosophy is out, but I believe the person he's interacting with is a person who I know from the channel, who has been a guest over here and other places around the community. And so if anybody has a guess, I want to see if your guess matches mine, or if you have any idea who I think Jim Bob is interacting with here. He's on the channel not so long ago, so that's why I'm wondering because we just got a voice, so that's all I'm going by here, a voice and a personality. So
I think we have established that his name is either F head or retard or
yeah,
something like that, because that's what Billy Bob keeps calling him. That must be his name.
Silverwolf says Jill, maybe? No, that was not my guess. No. I'm thinking of somebody else, but we'll keep going there. Jill hasn't been by in a while and did not acknowledge me in side chat last night when I saw him over at St. Tommy's. So, whatever, man. I guess we're not friends no more.
Okay. So first thing I want to say, the history of life is not fucking the same thing as the theory of evolution. So the history of life we could get that all out of order and have it all wrong, and the theory of evolution still could be true. By natural selection, still could be true.
That's amazing.
But
Nobody talked about the history of anything. We granted you populations of sex, male and female, and from your view, mechanically, you're saying biologically and genetically, what happens is yeah, that's what's in question. Okay, so tell me how random mutation from existing.
Hi everyone, I am your new editor-in-chief. How many of you have written for a paper before? I've tweeted.
The liver is such not a win. I mean, a better one is like how blood started. Like how blood started in organisms, it's the viscosity of it, kind of how the cells were producing it or whatnot. I mean, we've got a decent amount of theories on this subject, but is that something that we definitely know as far as the developmental line of how blood lubricants started? It's a little iffy.
Right. You guys, I am getting the low battery signal from my earbuds here, so I'm going to be off for a minute while I switch those out. I'll be right back.
Yep.
All right, sounds good.
Sexual partners, sexual selection is possible. I granted you populations and sexes. Tell me how evolution from the random mutation theory produces, or natural selection theory, produces a liver.
Okay.
We might have a clue here. Someone that visits here enough to know this green soul. I don't know. I guess, I poke my head in here, Trusted Ape, every time I see you on, but I guess I hadn't been coming on long enough yet to know.
Yeah, I don't know either. A couple years ago, I knew most of the players, and I just don't anymore.
Well, I've started learning a few of them, but I recognize a few voices. I suppose now whenever I see like call in from Skeptic Haven or from different places where they call in, there's a handful of voices that I'll pick up on pretty quick.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'm tempted to call into Skeptic Haven and pretend to be a theist just to troll Wes.
Well, I started to do it, but I had a bad connection that day.
That's fair. So, I never really thought about the evolution of the liver, but I just now looked it up, and it's pretty basic. There is a scientific hypothesis about how it happened.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you with all that AC in the background, but we still hear you, or whatever it is in the background. I don't know, but there is a continuous flow. It's not static, but wind or something.
Yeah, that's my fan here. I guess I'd probably go without it.
It wouldn't be
used to have
well.
it running. Okay. Well, I've only got one bud, but it'll work. It'll do.
You were unprepared for a broadcast today.
Green Soul. Yeah, no, that was my, I was really surprised when I came in and saw that I only had 60% on my earbuds, so it lasted, a good hour though. But I have 2 backup pairs, so hopefully it's got a little bit of a charge. Where are we at? 70%. Green Soul was not my guess, but I would say closer, maybe. I could be mistaken, but comment from Silverwolf.
Let me explain to you. All right, so livers, like the first livers developed like 500 million years ago, like in the first terrestrial animals. All terrestrial animals have the same liver. And they're the same fucking
no, dude,
we can look in
dude, stop
listen,
it. I didn't ask for the assertion that it developed. I asked you,
listen,
how did it develop?
I'm explaining.
You said 500 million years it developed. I said, how did it develop?
Okay, I'm just trying to give a fucking thorough answer.
You're not.
If you don't want to listen to it. Okay. And then my point is that these animals were.
I don't know. I don't think the guest can hear that music when he plays it. And again, I'm not sure if it was mine from his own channel or rating somebody else's. So it might just be a soundbite that he plays that they can't hear.
It does seem like he's playing it. It's not something that they worked in later, like for the video before they did in post or something. I think he's playing it actively and then stopping it when the guy's talking.
Yeah. I've seen him do it live when he's doing reviews on videos. So
They were extremely tiny. They were almost microbial. They were very tiny.
Okay. And then?
So just a few proteins could act as a filter system like the liver does for us today, and every other terrestrial animal which descends from it.
And then, so
Oh, Silverwolf says I can only think of Grain Soul and Sterling with that voice. Sterling is my guess. I think it's Sterling. I do. And so that was my guess. We got it. Yeah, Sterling is hilarious. I love that guy. And yeah, he's been over here a few times and stuff. So yeah, that was, you win the prize. I don't know what it is yet, but you've earned the prize.
I still think you are wrong. I'm telling you, I think it is retard. The guy's called him this several times. I'm sure that's his name. This guy is a Christian. He would not be so rude to call this guy this if it wasn't his name. Clearly, it must be.
Yeah, obviously.
So proteins get together. So the proteins get together and form a protoliver. Is that what you're saying?
I guess.
Can you tell me how a bunch of proteins that are unrelated to each other fuse together and form a type of protoliver? Mechanically, how does that happen?
Like how a bunch of proteins.
Yeah, you're assuming that happened, right? You're going to tell me how it happened, not that it happened in the beginning.
Well, how proteins in our body fuse together to become a liver. I mean,
I'm not granting you our body. We don't exist yet. I asked you, how did the liver form?
Did he just
jump cut?
Like he edited, yeah.
Yeah, we had a jump cut.
Yeah.
I don't know what we
when you say
I don't like it.
Formed.
Like how?
Maybe he went off calling the guy names and got all angry and decided that didn't look good and he erased it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Possible.
It's just
Bob,
a theory,
why can't I just say it formed?
Just a theory, yeah. Based on some observations.
Yeah, based on some observations.
I think it's fun that if the answer started being magic, like what would Jim Bob even say to question that? Like, if this is worldview, like he should be satisfied, right? Magic.
Right. Well, I mean, what's the counter argument to it? Because even if the guy says, "I don't know how that happens," does that debase it? And if we ask Jim Bob the question, okay, about the person materializing, did they come up from the top or the bottom, or did they just make the poop when they popped into existence? How did it happen? If Jim Bob doesn't know the answer to this, I mean, does that debase its credibility because he doesn't know the answer? So I don't understand what the purpose of any of this is. It seems all just semantic. It seems like you don't know the answer, therefore my assertion wins, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I could see him pulling like that kind of generic argument too, where they say like things are, all things are possible through God or whatever that is,
Sure.
Argument is, yeah.
We have agency involved, so the agency did it. We don't need to know more than that. Well, we have evolution involved. The evolution did it. We don't need to know more than that.
500 million years ago. I don't get it. What's the problem?
A random mutation happened, and
it happened. A random mutation formed the liver. How do you know that?
Are you asking how it happened? So I'm just positing.
Yeah. How do you know a random mutation formed a liver?
Your marketing, sales, and HR teams can reuse and remix approved content made by the
creative team. I read it in
team.
a magic infallible book.
Yeah, and then there's something that, like, okay, so I don't know if the liver is one of those, but certain organs, they say, like, evolved basically independently in different species before they were, like, broadly incorporated, right? Like that, I think that is the kind of the primary theory behind organs like that.
I don't think so. I think what you have here is you just have a progressive process that is happening, that organ forms more and more. It's just like with the blood and the lubricants. It wasn't originally, it was just a way to sweat off through liquids to get that biotoxins out, and slowly but surely that lubricant become more and more like blood. So we don't start with a fully formed liver. We start with something functioning like a liver, and then it becomes more and more solidified through in its process.
I guess what I'm thinking of is actually the cells that make those up. So it's like fundamental components of eukaryotic cells originated from ancient bacteria through endosymbiosis. So it's just like the cells that make up those organs were themselves once like an organism to like of their own, right? Or
yeah.
Maybe
I don't know. I think the organ is being reproduced in every individual species, however uncomplicated that organ is. It's slowly but surely changing and becoming more effective, and probably because the size of the species is changing is why it's changing.
Right.
Because we have livers today, and
because we have livers. You guys, we're doing science here, guys. Because we have livers today, we know 500 million years ago it formed. Yeah, okay. Because we have it to get. So begging the question. That sounds logical to you.
How do you know God produced you?
I'm not talking about God. Let's say God doesn't exist. Let's say God doesn't exist. It doesn't change the problem, bro.
You can just say you exist, and you also know the
it
fact
doesn't
that
change the problem that you have. I know you're going to spurg into God. No, I'm granting God doesn't exist right now.
Proves that you exist.
No, I'm.
What? Then he's like granting. Oh yeah, I'll grant that God doesn't exist for the sake of this argument, and then it still has non-argument, like so it's all like a style of refutation, right? Like I'm just going to deny every claim that you make.
I recently, I was talking to somebody else about this, that there's three primary reasons that everyone that does evolution denial, there's always three rules or tenets that they hold on to. And that they conclude that God loves humans, that there's a coveted place for humans, that their holy book, whether it's the Bible, the Quran, or whatever, that it's inerrant and that it can't be wrong. And then that their Genesis account, that it is that it's literal, that it's not metaphorical or allegorical. And if they hold these three tenets, then they deny evolution is real, that it's happening. Any of the chink in any of those armor, if they don't hold all three of those to be true, they will not reject evolution. They don't say no, I don't believe in evolution. They're not young Earth creationists. They hold all three of these, and because they hold, in the case of Jim Bob, that the Bible is infallible and that it's literal, then he's not going to accept evolution. And that's the primary tenets. He can act like it's anything else, but that is the primary reasons, because he thinks that the Genesis account is literal, and he can't accept anything that is contradictory to a model that he's already decided is so.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm just kill gangster. What part of I granted you God doesn't exist right now?
Oh, that must be an alias he's operating.
It doesn't
under.
move. It doesn't change the pickle you're in. I asked you, how do you know?
What did you say there? Kill gangster.
Kill gangster. Yeah. He said kill gangster. I'm granting you. Yeah. Oh, you might be totally wrong. Oh, I knew he was wrong.
You God doesn't exist right now. It doesn't move. It doesn't change the pick. Bro.
You can just say you exist, and you also know the
it
fact
doesn't
that
change the problem that you have. I know you're going to spurg into God. No, I'm granting God doesn't exist right now.
Proves that you exist.
No, I'm just kill gangster. What part of I granted you God doesn't exist right now?
Kill a gangster?
There's a YouTuber called Kill Gangster, but this is like Russian writing here, man. I don't know if this is. It's right.
Did you just do it as one word?
I did an @Kill Gangster for a YouTube channel.
2 subscribers, 7 videos. Oh, I see a couple of them here.
Yeah, me too.
Interesting.
It doesn't move. It doesn't change the pickle you're in. I asked you, how do you know? How do you know 500 million years ago that a couple of proteins got together through random mutation and produced the first protoliver? How do you know that?
Because proteins getting together is the mechanism through which all of our organs form.
That's an assertion. How do you know proteins got together through random mutation and formed the first
I
liver?
just said that's the way we observe all modern.
No, how we no, that's actually not true. How we see humans being formed. Hold on, shut up.
Okay, so he's actually denying the thing that I was just citing, where they say that those cells formed and then the liver formed afterward, right? Yeah.
One claim at a time.
So he actually, he must know a little bit about that. Like, I had kind of had some recollection of it.
How we see us form is through existing forms that are human, and they come together and have sex, and they reproduce a very similar anatomical, phenotypical, genotypical structure that has all of the organs already in the body developing, right? That's not actually...
That produces...
Yeah.
James Apperson says phone, and then, oh no, dropped, I suppose. Sorry to see you go. He's having an issue with his device, or maybe, I don't know. Or he had a phone call. I'm not sure, but yes, yeah, you can come back anytime if you become available again. Good to see you, James.
No, shut up for a second. No, you shut up. No, shut your mouth for a second. I'm correcting you. I'm correcting you to that. Shut up, dude.
That's fine. Nothing is correct.
I'm correcting you because what we see today are organisms with their organs intact, developed from sexes, that is produced from previous organisms that have those things, including vertebrates, including livers, hearts, lungs, filters, eyeballs, brains, and the rest of it. What I'm asking you is a different question that you're trying to skate away from, which is, if evolution is true, there was a time in which organisms in populations didn't have these specialized things, and that through random mutation and sexual selection, they produce these things. I simply ask you, how? And your answer in front of 500 people is, well, we know it happened because we had...
Imagine bringing your side project to life.
What happened there, man?
Meet Base 44.
I think the guy called him out on there's no 500 people watching you.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen this many ads on a video before. Like,
there is a lot of ads here. I wonder if it's doing something based on timing, man, because this is 33 minutes long that we've been so far, and I think I've seen probably 6 or 7 ads.
Yeah. I wonder if they know I'm streaming.
No. No, it may be that you're
500 people is.
I don't know if it's a total timer or what it is.
Yeah.
These things, I simply ask you, how? And your answer in front of 500 people is, well, we know it happened because we had... What?
500 losers? I don't care if there's a million of them. Fuck it.
Wow. And so what you're telling people is that we know it happened 500 million years ago because we have them today.
And the theory is that all of these things occur through random mutation and environmental pressure.
Okay, cool. When did you observe anything building a highly specialized functional thing like a liver through random mutation and selective pressure? When did you ever observe that?
I mean, what is your quality of highly specialized?
What? What is your quality of specialized? I see.
So these predictions come from, right, like anything projecting, like the theory that I read about or whatever, is something that's probably based on our modern observation of chemistries and what we know about the body, right? And then we combine that to say, okay, this looks like how it probably comes together. And I assume there's probably other evidence for that, like in certain like fossilized organic matter or whatever, like preserved organic matter that we can look at. Maybe. I mean, I'm not sure how far back that would go, but we do have some of that, right? Like there's.
I think a lot of as far as how organs are developed, we have to just look at different iterations that we have and how simple those things are, whether you're talking about like horseshoe crabs or species that has been around a long time, and we see just variations from them So I think there's more. You can't just throw together a theory like how that thing developed without looking at multiple different species that are at different transitional points. I mean, you just kind of have to have a giant buckshot of different animals that you have to try to get an idea from as far as how that developed.
Right. Yeah, lots of information, data analysis involved.
Yep. Yeah.
See, livers don't see, right?
Like, but if I give you a simple example and it's not highly specialized, how would you know? What's not highly specialized?
Do you agree that the liver has a function that filters toxins? Yes?
I mean, it does something.
Okay, great. Does it do a function called filtering toxins? Does it? Dude, stop getting squirrely. Does the liver filter toxins?
It performs a function, yeah.
Is the function
the function is not like tautological. It just does that because
is the function of the liver to process toxins?
It processes toxins, yes.
Thank you. Why is that so hard? Is the function of
its function is equivalent to
shut up,
toxins,
dude.
right?
Is the function of the kneecap processing toxins?
It does not process toxins.
Cool. Is there anything else?
But it does actually. The cells in the kneecap process toxins. They don't do it for the body.
Is the liver a
themselves.
specialized thing in regards to its function?
It is different than other body parts, yes.
Okay, so it is specialized. So evolution, from your
it's different.
view,
Every body part is different from every
I
other
get
body
it. Yeah.
part.
So your view is that evolution, there was a time in which populations didn't have these specialized appendages and mechanisms, and because there was a time where populations existed before these specialized mechanisms, the process that you call evolution, random mutation through natural selection, sexual selection. You're saying that that's the mechanism through which these things get produced and become their functioning.
And
so you think you know
Wix?
Wix?
That's kind of like what
Do
you were.
really?
The ad came on right when I was trying to pause it too. That's kind of what you were saying earlier too, as far as like we can see like the simpler iterations of those organs in modern organisms, right? Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about the liver of crab, what I just named earlier. I just know that it's a horseshoe crabs, but I know that's something that's been around a very long time, and we have other species that we know that species has not evolved or changed. The lineage it hasn't went through a lot of change. So when we see that from the fossil record that species has had little to no change, when we look at its internal organs, we're going to assume the same as the interior is the exterior, and assume that whatever has been working for a very, very long time, that hasn't went through as many iterations of change. So we can see something more simplified inside of it. But the same ideal is like what I was mentioning with blood earlier. It is something that just is. It is a thermal liquid, and it is something that is getting rid of toxins, and eventually it's starting to carry oxygens and disperse oxygen throughout the system through this lubricant that is basically being sweated off the cells, is what we think. And slowly but surely that begins to change. But this idea that any animal didn't exist with something that was performing the function already of the liver, how unbelievably ridiculous. This is not what's happening. You don't get animals, and what he's saying, a population that doesn't have these organs, and then one day they started developing these organs. No, they wouldn't have gotten that far. Something has to be performing the function. So it's like this organ, everything is being produced kind of just like in the womb as a baby. I would imagine everything has to be simultaneously produced, so to speak, and it slowly but surely develops into something larger and larger and more sophisticated through iteration.
Right. I think like the best example of that for me is like the brain, because it's so obvious. You can see like any mammal brain, right? Like is basically the same. You know, they have different proportions, different sizes, a little bit different shape. You know, depending on the skull and stuff. But we all have almost identical brains, right?
Yeah.
So.
really? First up, we've got.
But to that point, I mean, any species that we came through that lineage or that
their
line,
ontology,
like all of that species, that brain wasn't like our brain. It was less and less, complicated, and it's something that you can't say, oh, well, when did the brain, just develop? No, a neural network, that what we wouldn't call a brain today, but it was functioning in the same way. There was a neural network that was firing and given, ons and offs, so to speak, to make decisions in some sense. And then that neural network just got more and more and more complex. It's not like, oh, poof, one day now there's a liver or now there's a brain. No, it doesn't work anything like that.
Yeah.
Ontology becomes functioning, right? We ask you a simple question.
Oh, their ontology. Where's
their ontology? Their ontology is their function.
So the ontology is just what happens, what physically happens.
What they do, where they are in relation to other organs.
So,
yes, that's their ontology. Their existence, how they exist, is through their function, right? Even from your view.
So what is the purpose of tautology? It's just restating what, or ontology is just restating what.
The purpose is that
what happens physically,
dude. The purpose is that you're having a process called evolution that produces function. Sure. Dude, shut up for a second.
Sure.
The purpose is, the reason I'm bringing it up is that the nature of a liver and what it does is given by its function in the body. But if it's true from the evolutionary view that there was a type of body, the most ancient version didn't have a liver, didn't have a heart, didn't have a.
So that's, he's talking about ontology, right? And so that would be backwards, right? Like he says that the liver exists to serve its function. Is that kind of what he's saying there? Like, I find that a little bit like nonsensical to me.
I don't know. I'm always confused when theists get on this subject. They play these semantic games with the words like function, and they correlate function with designers somehow. Because it is operating a specific goal, so to speak. That there is a goal giver. So there's always kind of this kind of false equivocation. I think of it as like the function of a mountain that makes balls out of things that roll down it. The mountain was formed so that it can form balls of things that roll down it. Its function is to create spheres. Therefore, what a crock of shit.
Right.
It's just systemically doing this.
And then you could say the same thing of like, oh, well, if I use, let's say, like if I put a stone in the river and it, gets
smooth. It's the function of the water.
Then the function of the river. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But you can do this over and over and over, even with snowflakes and with like systems and pressures, that their function is that they're to make the snowflake in the shape that they're making it, so forth. But there's a systemic thing there that is causing the outcome. If you want to call it function, that's fine. Just don't try to connect it to something that is intelligent. It can still be systemic. But as far as whether you want to call it a function because it is repetitiously reaching an end result, that's fine.
Yeah.
Didn't have a mind, didn't have eyes, didn't have all these things. It follows that the process that you're appealing to must produce these things, correct?
The process and the circumstances in which the process occurred, yes.
Yeah, that's the process. Process happened in a circumstance.
No. The process is just the name for the specific. I mean,
oh my gosh, dude!
I'm not trying to quibble over
yes, you
whatever
are.
This is.
You're trying to just get out of the fact that if you agree with premise one, that the process of evolution, however you want to describe it with your words.
I love how the guy he remains
whatever
calm,
this is,
but he keeps mirroring his behaviors.
Yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
I'm not trying to quibble with whatever this is. Perfectly said.
Is the thing that mechanistically produces these hyper-specialized things like a liver and the eye and the heart and the brain, all of these things, the metabolism, the intestines, the anus, all of it is doing something that has a function. From your view, it's a very easy thing to say yes to. From your view, evolution, the process of evolution, produced over time, produced these individual appendages that do specific things. Yes?
Sure, yeah.
Cool.
In that way, I guess.
Okay,
The way you just
so
in the fucking
that's right.
long way you said.
Yeah, great. So if you're holding the view, which is your positive assertion, that a process you're referring to as evolution, whatever the mechanism is, you're saying that that process produces things like the liver and the eyes. It's fair for me to ask, how does it do that?
It is fair for him to ask, but it's not fair for him to ask a random person named Kill Gangster on a YouTube video how some complicated process like this works. How fucking ridiculous.
It's weird that he
One
said
being,
that, Kill Gangster, though.
Two.
Because
Yeah.
the content that I saw when I was looking at that name did not like match what I would think this person. I wonder if they were using a sock or something, you know?
Yeah, it could very well be the case that they're just using some alias to come in here and chat with this guy too. It may very well be the case. It could still be the person you think that it is. But it was great conversating with you. Actually, I'm fixing to bail off of here. I'll still watch your video, but I'm gonna catch a bite to eat, man.
All right. Well, good to see you, man.
You too, man. Take care.
What do you mean how? Like the relationship between
How? What do you mean how?
Like-
The mechanism A produces all of these other mechanisms after a long period of time through random mutation and environmental pressures, right? I ask you, how does it actually happen? How does that happen? And you're like, what does how mean?
Oh, okay. So
What does how mean?
how it happens in evolution is that organisms with organisms that have a feature that stops them from propagating do not result in that their genes being less prevalent in the environment.
So
Now, I don't know, maybe he is aware of that because he does seem to be stopping now. Before he was kind of talking through it, but now he seems to maybe be aware that at least that the music is playing when he's talking there, and Jim Bob is not listening, because that was actually a pretty good explanation of like what people call like survival of the fittest or whatever, where less desirable genes become extinct from the population through mutation, right? Because that doesn't result in the optimum or maximum amount of healthy offspring.
So organisms that don't have an
And therefore
advantage
that
die.
causes. Huh?
So wait a second. The statement that organisms that don't have survival advantages die off, that's your explanation of how they grow a liver?
That wasn't what he said, though. Was that the question?
Yes, and organisms that have traits that result in more advantageous
Okay, so
things that result in more
I feel
propagation.
like I heard actual crickets in the background when he paused for a second there. Take a quick musical interlude. Okay, and we're back.
Are able to spread their genes more.
Okay, that's great. So when I say how does this process produce a liver that's hyper specialized in what it does, I ask you how does this happen, and you say, well, if you can't survive, then you die.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the way it works. But imagine this process occurring over many generations and long periods of times and different changing conditions, environmental conditions, and that's literally the explanation of evolution, kind of in a nutshell.
No,
that's how a liver gets produced. If you don't, that's exactly that's literally
if
what
you
you
can't
just said.
survive, you die. Is that the thing I said?
I think the real question here, that is a matter of a lot of theory, right? Is not verified theory, but the actual kind that they still are working on, essentially, other than genetics, because genetics kind of solve some of that as far as my understanding of that. But anyway, aside from that, right, like, so in theory there must have been some way that these various pre-existing organisms coalesce to make the organism that we see today that has all of these features, right? And when you're talking about transitional organisms, some of those, maybe haven't been found yet, maybe could never be found, but they are necessary in order to create this whole chain of life that we're talking about, right? So you do kind of have to accept that based on logic, based on what we actually already know, and then you logically say that, yeah, based on what we already know, and like logically deduce that that there's this transitional species or what have you that science may never actually be able to find. We may never find a physical like fossil or imprint of this thing, but it must have existed in order for all of these various organisms to coalesce to make up the structure that we see today. Right, but we also know that so many species have been extincted, right, that have been made up of similar kind of stuff, and then it's been, based on, again, those environmental changes also have their effect on the living species and which ones die out and all of that, extinctions, stuff. It's all very interesting. These people, I don't think they don't, take the time to look into prehistory, because obviously you've got to deny it outright, and then it's because they have the creation story, and like the only alternative is you have like Dino Adventureland. It's like Jesus riding a Triceratops or something, whatever that thing was. I don't know.
How does the process produce a liver? I didn't say dude, I didn't ask if it would be an advantage to produce a liver. I agree, it would be. I asked, how does the mechanism produce the liver? I didn't ask if it's an...
Oh, sorry, I missed this comment from Skeptic Philosophy says, I kind of think you're right. He's playing the music over the guy, and I think the guy knows it. Yeah, he seemed to be ignoring it at first, and then he kind of started keying into it or whatever, and not really, because why bother if it's basically playing over you? And the guy you're talking to obviously isn't tracking, and he's coming. It's not because he's distracted. He's because he's doing that thing where he comes with the answer preloaded. He's already got his response. Like regardless of what he actually says, he already knows what he's going to say, and it's just continue his basically a monologue, a diatribe, I guess, if you will.
If it's an advantage to have a liver,
how does the random mutation produce the liver?
That's right.
Or produce something like the liver?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but can you grant one thing? I know you're going to fucking say it, but you have to grant this. But how about you grant that there's a system in
a proto-liver
organisms before... Listen.
A proto-liver.
Before the liver is created.
You mean a proto-liver?
Cellular organisms that produces proteins.
Okay. So grant me the liver...
For the body, that produces proteins for the body.
Gotcha. So grant me a liver.
Okay.
That's what you're saying.
There's a change in the genetic code of...
When is there a genetic code change?
Whenever there's
You sell it, we ship it. Put the strength of Amazon's technology and
Huh?
What do you mean? Have you ever observed a fundamental change in the genetic code? Are we talking about epigenetic?
That's why it's like genus species, right? Like that's the order, the taxonomic order. The species is under the genus, right? I'm pretty sure. Last time I checked. Why can't I? Okay, I couldn't type for a second there. It was weird. Yeah, species, genus, yeah. So that's how they're classified for a reason, I imagine. But anyway, yeah.
Epigenetics here, or what?
Like, not in every population. I'm just talking about a specific organism right now.
Okay, hold on. We need to clarify something. Are you talking about evolution, a change in the sequence of the DNA, or are you talking about epigenetics? Which are you talking about right now? Do you even know?
What's epigenetics?
Yeah, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Go on.
Well, just
He's like, I can't explain it to you, but if you can't explain it to me, I'm going to accuse you of not knowing what the fuck you're talking about, even though I might not know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm just throwing words out in there, and just like, oh, you don't understand what I'm saying. You must be, yeah.
There's a change in the codons of the DNA. You get that, and then that results in a different protein being created.
He's actually kind of explaining it. Like I think he's got a good, layman's explanation here that you could barely hear back there.
In the ribosomes, I think, and distributed in the body. And the protein is shaped differently and has a different function.
And the body being something that doesn't have any appendages yet, right?
Oh, what?
Doesn't have any.
Yeah, it doesn't have anything. Like when we refer to a body right now, we're referring to a thing that has a big dynamic system of individual mechanisms that work together, but also specialize their own function in the body. But we're talking about a past here where you granted yourself a protoliver and a protein, right? A type of organism or aspect of an
organism. You granted it to yourself, like in the theory, or like what does he?
In the body, but we're talking about a past here where you granted yourself a protoliver and a protein, right? A type of organism or aspect of an organism that somehow reacts to toxins, right? You're granting yourself that very simple form of a protoliver.
I'm assuming there's other organs in this animal.
Actually, yes, that's true.
But look, even if I granted you a...
Yeah, I mean, he kind of understands these concepts, he's just...
Protoliver, magically, by fusing proteins and other things together where it suddenly has a reaction to toxins. You still need to tell me the process through random mutation and sexual selection in which that thing improves in its capability and its function.
So how can a random mutation result in a physical change?
No, changes isn't what's in question. What's in question is tell me how the changes, you make the leap from mere changes to hyper specialized and increased effectiveness, in this case the liver, filtering toxins. How do you jump from mere changes to highly effective, increased efficacy of toxin filtering?
Because those changes are to structural elements.
That doesn't tell me how it becomes more effective.
I think it's also that, like, as we were talking about earlier, like the maximal efficiency, right? Like it's obtained through extreme environmental conditions. So that thing that was able to filter toxins in very high toxicity environments, that was the thing that survived and thrived. And then so then when you contain it, right, and it's a lower toxicity environment, then it becomes part of a system that is more neutral, right? It's not so extreme, and then it adapts to that environment, so it's still got this. I think that's kind of the idea there, right? Like where that's what adaptation is. So we'll get able to go from this very high toxicity, direct contact environment to lower toxicity with minimal contact, because it's able to create a barrier, of some kind against the environment, sort of, something like that.
At it.
Hey, Bro Joe's 420 Cafe. Good to see you. I didn't see you streaming when I came on, but I noticed afterwards, and pleasure as always. We're watching Made by Jim Bob, and who I think is Sterling trolling Jim Bob, but who knows really? I don't know.
Why is the direction toward more... Look, I'll ask in a different way. Why is the directionality of random mutation toward more efficiency?
because the more efficient ones propagate more.
No, dude, that's an accident. It doesn't produce efficiency. No, dude, that's not even the held view of evolution, by the way. Evolution doesn't
more efficient things propagate more.
No, evolution doesn't hold that. Because you will be more successful, you develop successful things. It shows post hoc. Post hoc, what it argues is that accidental advantages develop, and because they were advantageous, they survived. They didn't develop them because they're advantages. They survived
I
because.
never said that. Do you
Yes,
think
you
I
did.
said that?
I said why
No,
does
I didn't.
I said why does the direction of random mutation produce higher efficacy?
Oh, it doesn't always. Did I say random mutation
So
always
you
produces
have a
higher?
difficulty with this concept that's like that. No, the things that constitute the thing that you're saying now were individual, like organelles or whatever at one point, and then they had to collectivize, right? And that's the transition that he can't fathom, right? And maybe we can't either. But certainly there are scientific models of what it might have looked like.
Okay, so tell me where.
I never said that.
So
You just
where?
hear things in your head.
Okay, cool. Where are the
Oh. And welcome back, Skeptic Philosophy.
Hey man, I just wanted to eat some lunch, but this guy is saying, no, I don't even think mainstream evolution thinks that. Yeah, they do. That is definitely a position that you could have multiple different iterations of change, and the one that is more successful winds up being selected through the selective pressures. So yes, it does make, if it is more successful, it becomes more abundant. So it winds up developing that next step more so than it does those that made a different variation. So he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he knows what he's talking about, and he's blatantly just fucking it up.
Or other things like it's said that we are made up of a collection of different organisms. Like for example, our gut bacteria, right? Like we have a collection of organisms inside of us in symbiosis, and that is incorporated into the whole system, right? Like all of those things matter in this kind of conversation. He's ignoring that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I try to, whenever because I don't get deep into the evolutionary subject, but I try to understand explain the principle to people so that they can at least understand that the principle can't be defeated. And the reason that I go about it that direction is because, first of all, I don't have a lot of biological knowledge on the subject. But when you're just talking about pure mathematics, like if you're talking about a set of deer and you have a predator that is running after that set of deer, whatever, let's say you have 13 or 20 deer and you take the total speed of all those deer and you divide those by the amount of deer, and that is your total baseline speed of the deer. When you introduce a predator that winds up eating the slowest deer regularly, then anytime it eliminates the slowest deer, you have increased the total population speed of the deer. That's a mathematical fact. That when you have removed that slowest deer, you have increased its total speed. Now, whenever they procreate, you're going to continue to have this process. So this is, I try to look at this thing systemically to explain this to people rather than to try to get into the nuts and bolts. But what this guy is doing is saying, you don't, I think of this like buckshot. If you see a gun shot and hit a wall, and do you know the mechanics of how every single pellet got there in that position on the wall? You may not, but you know the direction that this shit was going, okay? You know how this happened, and you're trying to say, well, because you don't know exactly how the pellet got into this position or that position, that therefore that invalidates the direction and the flow of what we know happened with the bullet. What a crock of shit. And that's what this guy is trying to do presently is, well, if this guy that doesn't know anything about biology either cannot explain, how the mechanics of the liver, or as he calls the proto-liver, slowly developed in terms of stages, if he can't explain that, then that's somehow invalidating it. It's just bullshit.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean, from what I heard, this guy, does know a little bit about biology, I think. And when he started making some good points, then Jim Bob suddenly turns on his sound effects, and runs steamrolls him. So,
Well, I noticed they were a little louder also. I think the proportion of volume of the sound effects to the guy, I believe it's increased.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The undeveloped livers.
Where? Like,
yeah.
That we observed today?
Yeah, obviously, if random mutation is true and natural selection is true, the things in vertebrates that you see that are peculiar to vertebrates called livers and other things, they're highly specific and specialized. From your view, there should be at least 1 or 2 random mutations which produces a consistency of an altered version of a liver. That's not what we know to liver to be.
A consistent, like a liver that is the same as the
liver that's, well, no, not even the same as a proto-liver, just a developed in the wrong direction liver.
And is around today?
Yeah.
Why must that be true? That could be.
It would be likely to be true. Why, dude?
Well, how do you know that?
Well, because if based
on
the
that likelihood claim for?
We're taking out likelihoods, right?
Likely to be true. Is he talking about something that is based in fact, or is what is this? Is like
it's so weird. It's so weird because like there's a counter argument to this from the atheist side. Like the atheist and evolutionist even would say that if something was designed, it should have variation in the design. But like when we see all the mammals have the heart on the left side, have basically everything's intact in the same way in any different mammal. And if we think that something was designed, we would think that they might have different ways of designing it, but everything just seems to be slight variations in the same, in the same design. And what happens is Christians actually wind up defending this to say, well, what works? Why would God change it? Why would God? So what? It's so weird to now hear him say that we would think evolution would, have these different iterations, that there's different ways of succeeding in this. But there are good.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just think it's weird because we know that as far as evolution, if something has developed in a way that it is successful, something can't go back down the mountain of probability, I think is what Richard Dawkins used to use as a term. It can't go back down and go back up another ladder. If it's successful in this way, it doesn't make iteration changes. So when we have less species on the planet, when this liver develops, it's not like it goes back the other direction and tries to redevelop itself. It doesn't recreate the wheel, so to speak. It's working. It doesn't change it.
I also think it's interesting that that there's this. I guess it would be like divine hiddenness would be like an explanation for that or something. Where why would it be necessary for other animals to have any similarity to us? God could just create them without all the stuff that we have. They don't need brains, or they don't have free will. They don't, like that whole thing doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't say, why is it that we have the same parts, but that animals don't have souls?
Right. Well, the non-symmetric variations are I think is probably the best part of this argument. Like when we talk about all hearts in mammals being on the left side in the chest cavity, in the abdomen, why would that be necessary? Why couldn't some of them, at very least, if he's designing them individually, be on the right side? Why wouldn't there be some inversement? But there's not. There's no inversement. So that alone seems to be that something is just making a copy of a copy of a copy. It's not something that's being designed holistically. Let's start again from the beginning. No, there's none of that.
And it does sound strange. Like when you think of what would fit that description, it seems like some kind of squishy, like amorphous, almost like organism that could contain all of these parts and, so to speak, if that makes any type of sense. Like if you think about the process, Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was weird to hear this guy now saying that what we should expect is variations in the liver. Like, no, that's been the whole point of evolution from the get-go against creationism that we don't see variations, and that this is something that we. So what's weird is if we did see these variations, he would be on the bandwagon of saying, "Aha, this variation is a proof that God is making different designs that still get, to the same function."
Yeah, and I think there's that other presupposition, right, that's snuck in there, is that the liver, in some sense, pre-existed the human, and a Christian or any type of creationist can't have that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was the egg argument forever. That's been why. Oh, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? Well, obviously the egg. It just wasn't a fucking chicken egg.
Yeah.
Right? We're talking about likelihoods. By the way, likelihood.
Okay, so how is it likely that something original like that would survive?
The likelihood.
Because your whole position relies on random mutations, and you don't see those today.
Yeah, it relies on random mutations.
Today? You see no random mutations today?
Would you give us an example of a randomly mutated liver right now?
Yeah.
In fact, say there's.
Oh wait, there's a third person.
Yeah, there's a third person. I heard him pipe a little bit earlier, but they barely said anything. But there's definitely a third.
Maybe
person.
they're in a Discord chat or something. Probably.
I don't know.
Give us. Wait. Let's do this even better. Give us any example of a random mutation.
Do you know what a mutation is?
Yeah, just tell us give us an example of a random mutation.
You have a mutation. I have a mutation.
Tell me an example of a random mutation, dude.
Fucking sickle cell would have to be.
Is that random? How did you determine it was random?
Because
it wasn't in the parent organism.
Yeah. I was like, and it's not in all of the same. It's not in all it doesn't exist in all of. What would you say, that type? I guess, right?
Any DNA variation whatsoever that is not a replicant of one of the two parent organisms. In the case of multi-sex animals, any mutation, any variation of the DNA whatsoever is a random mutation.
Right. And but in this case, it's we can say what the trigger is for the mutation. I think, right? Like, that's the issue, is we can say, oh, this is not actually random because it is responsive to environmental factors. Sickle cell is responsive to malaria, I believe, right? And so some of the offspring are getting this gene that gives them better chances of surviving or being immune to malaria.
Yeah, but sickle cell, I mean, this is the difference between what is a pile of dirt and what is a mountain. And any variation inside of the DNA whatsoever that did not come from the parent organisms, that specific DNA marker that is present, it was not in the mother organism, it was not in the father organism, that is a random mutation. It just is. You can argue whether that's big enough to say, well, that's not a mountain of random, that's a cloud of dirt, that's not a mountain. Well, it's still a random mutation.
So basically, we don't necessarily have enough evidence to know whether it was a pre-existing gene that caused that, or whether it was a random mutation.
I don't know on sickle cell. I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way to determine there was no. I mean, you can't.
He wants a name, and there's not a name.
I mean, it's caused by.
He wants a name. What?
He wants a name of a mutation, and there's no such thing as the name. Like if we're talking about a specific DNA marker that is present in his DNA, but it wasn't in his parent organisms, is that marker inside of his genetics? Is it named? No, it's not named. But it is something that we regularly see.
Yeah, he also asked specifically something earlier about the mutation, basically for an appendage. Why would we develop? And then he asked a penis or a vagina. Why would those develop? Basically, and yeah, I don't know if there's a good answer for that or not. Actually, it seems kind of haphazard in my opinion, because there's such variation in sex organs and the way people's sexuality has developed. over time is actually kind of problematic to me, but Jim Bob sees it as like perfect design, I guess.
Well, I think when you're talking about sex organs, you got to go all the way back to bacterias here and how bacteria is moving DNA from one bacteria to the other bacteria. So when you get past abiogenesis and you're getting bacterials, interact with one another, or very simple cellular organisms, when they're interacting with one another, there has to be a method of which that DNA is transferring, and that DNA, whatever appendage is there, will continue to develop, and there will always be that appendage or some variation of that appendage as we get variations. But there'll never be a point from when we get an appendage that makes a penetration or some way of exchange in DNA, that appendage will never, we're going to develop in a new location. I don't like this location. Let's start over and redevelop.
Right.
That will never happen. It will always be whatever we have that is working to exchange DNA is just going to continue, to develop.
Yeah. Unless maybe we can reroute the system.
What's up,
Maybe
Dave?
there's some kind of artificial intervention. We can just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find everything.
Interesting. So your entire view holds the view that random mutation produces new genetic sequences that not just a new genetic sequence, but it renders the processing of new appendages that increase in their effectiveness. That claim, nowhere in this conversation was that claim ever defended.
I see Captain Dusk down there. Good to see you, Dave. Glad to hear you're doing well, and I hope you're fighting. Continue to fight the good fight, man. Much love, buddy.
To any reasonability. What? Yeah.
By the way, you brought up sickle cell as a random mutation. How is that a random?
I don't know if Captain Dusk. I don't know if you know Sterling, but earlier on it was the two of them. Now it's the third person here. But I believe the caller that Jim Bob is talking to here is a man by the name of Sterling on YouTube, if you know him. And Silverwolf seemed to agree with me. I did not give any hints there. So yeah, see if you think your description matches mine.
Random mutation is a very common disease and it's been around for centuries.
It's not
What are you
novel.
talking about random? Random compared to what? You're just saying a thing happened and therefore it's random?
Yeah.
That's your definition of
The
random.
genetic code changed.
There's never been
Their genetic code change.
there's never been an example of a mutation that renders the entire sequence completely new. It would collapse if there's some new sequence entered right
There's
into
no-
it.
I never said it changed a single codon. That we know which codon changed in the sickle cell.
Yeah, let me
Yeah, I said that earlier. You were playing your fucking dramatic music.
grant that, but why is that random?
Yeah,
How
he
do you
did.
know that wasn't designed?
Caused by God. I don't know that God didn't do it. I mean, it was caused
So
by
you're-
some physical event.
God designed
You've
sickle cell.
eliminated
You heard him
God,
say
now
it.
All of the things you say are
You heard it here,
Most
folks.
disease.
God designed sickle cell.
I'm sure he sent the plague too. He was pissed off at them for some reason, even though they were all Christians, right?
We got him.
They are
I just said, I
proof.
have no idea.
So you have sickle cell, but you're saying this is a random mutation. Random versus what? Do we have developed lightning bolts that shoot out of our antennas or something? What are you talking about random?
Yeah. Also,
It's very
What you just said is random.
that
What are you
blood
talking
cells,
about?
if they developed a certain way, that they could have a disease or an alteration. I'll grant you that. But you're not getting random mutations. We're not like electric eels where we all of a sudden develop the ability to shock our prey. We have very specialized occurrences.
and
Specialized occurrences. I just want to point out again too that like there's two conflicting arguments with the Christian argument here. They're like, oh well, we humans, we are very special compared to the animals, but then they're like, wait, they're all technically the same. So what is the special thing about humans? And then insert soul here, and that's like the only thing they can posit.
I'm actually more interested in this why the guy brought up eel, and I think even Jim Bob kind of slanted his eye a little bit on what the guy that is on Jim Bob's team here is suggesting about eels, because I think the guy slowly or subtly suggested that eels electric eels are a mutation. It sounded like he slowly or suggested that, and I think it even got Jim Bob. You see the expression on his face. He's like, "Wait, what?"
What is a mutation? Just tell me. I mean,
and what is, by the way, is
tell me what you think mutation is.
Look, dude, we don't believe in a random anything. There's no such thing as random. You can't even observe randomness. So we don't even accept. It's your terminology in your worldview. It's an internal critique. We don't tell you things we define. We don't define random mutation if we reject even the term random is observable. Do you?
We have got to the point where literally anybody.
I do agree that random is
contextual.
This is it's entirely contextual, because
do you understand?
When you say about random mutation or random anything in the strictest physics sense, is it random? No, nothing's random. Something was causal. There's whether it's predictive or not. In the strictest sense, I don't know that anything is random.
Yeah, I mean, it basically random only implies that it is not what we usually observe on our time scale, but our time scale is tiny compared to evolutionary or cosmic time scales or things like that, right?
Something other than duplication is causing the variation. Might be a better way to say it. That there's not a one-to-one duplication, even like in abiogenesis, when you're supposedly just copying the same genes from here to here. Even in that case, we can have variations. In the strictest sense in physics, I don't know that I would call it random, but if you have another word that you want to introduce to say variation is happening, and that variation is being rewarded or selected based on environmental pressures. If he wants to get hung up on the word random, I don't particularly care.
I think it's also like we can maybe make an analogy here to like if you were to look at like the whole of human history, right, and say, okay, we have these random occurrences where we seem to have like large-scale extinction events or near extinction events, we could say, for the human species. And then if we looked at them, we didn't really have information, we just had numbers. Say we see a lot of humans dying here, a lot of humans dying here. We have some kind of mass casualty event, right? And then we can look back and we can correlate. We can say, oh, well, maybe you lived in a time where there was a great famine, a great plague, a great war, and then now you have that information that says, okay, now we can see what the cause of this is, right? And then it's not random. But in the grand scheme, it is random because the cause doesn't really matter. We're just looking at numbers, right? And when we are more productive versus less productive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just think that the random is just context dependent. It just really depends on what context in which you're using it. We could say random in a general sense that it's simply not being created by duplicating the DNA as a one-to-one. Something else is happening. Whether that outside forces, I'll give you a primary example. Look at snowflakes. Can we say that snowflakes are randomly different? And the fact of the matter is they're going through different environments and different pressures, may have different winds that are blowing on them and different external factors that are causing the variations inside of the snowflakes. Were those external winds and how they were blowing all, moved by something? And they're a continuation of that motion? Yes. And in that sense, were those winds random that shaped them? In that sense, no. But there's still an external variation of external pressure that is causing the variation. So,
the Captain just says, "This is the Magic Zubo guy where anything is possible in make believe." Yeah, all things are possible with God if you just believe it.
Well, he don't want to back the ideal of God at all in this conversation. He's already said, Dave, that in the context of this argument, he concedes that there isn't a God. And he's just anti-evolution in it all the way, so that he doesn't have to defend a counter argument that magic power did all these things.
Right. And then he asks, the absurd question of why would evolution develop an appendage, and then if you ask why would God develop one, of course, yeah, I was going to defend that either.
Random means, in that context, occurring without like
without what?
Obvious input from outside. Like you
You
can't
don't.
determine.
No, you don't know that though. That's the point. Is that what's the outside? Your whole view is that the outside world does influence genetic mutation, dude. Dude, is your view that dude? Shh,
it has the word random. I mean,
bro,
it's obvious what it means.
Bro,
it means something.
No. Look, isn't your view that the outside world called the environment influences and selects?
Did you have something there?
He muted him. It was clear, by the way, that he was talking and the way he got cut off. Jim Bob muted him.
Dick.
That's a selective pressure?
Yes.
So is it random or not?
I don't believe in randomness. Or
cool.
I mean,
congratulations. You're closer to the truth.
Like you're gonna have to define randomness because.
I want to look. I wonder how many times if he has been muting him because I wasn't really looking for that.
Yeah.
Because he's just been kind of steamrolling him. But
I knew they were going to run into a definitional problem here with randomness. I mean, it was inevitable that this was going to happen. So I'm going to say I called that in advance. But the guy is saying, like myself, in the strictest sense, I don't believe in randomness. But it's an outside force. It's an outside thing that's external of the DNA transfer from one.
I think that's
organism to the other.
also like a mistranslation in the lingo they use. Like in science, if they say that the mutation itself is random, it's because they don't have like a direct explanation.
Right.
But you could infer that it was because of this environmental change or this pressure, right?
Yeah. Well, again, it has to be all just context dependent because even like we were talking about with buckshot earlier or birdshot, you shoot a target, you could say that the array of those pellets are random.
Yeah.
Could they have been predicted? No, they couldn't have been predicted. But are they truly random? No, they are not truly random. There's no such thing as a random buckshot pattern. That physics was in the play, the environment, the wind, everything was in the play. In the strictest sense, it's not random, but it's indistinguishable as far as us using it in the application. We didn't know how the damn buckshot was going to land.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the precept too, right? Because they're going to say, well, I'm looking for the meta, right? Like, I want to know why this happened. And we say, well, this is why this happened. And then they say, no, I want to know why it happened the way it happened.
Right.
Like, can you explain that to me? And they say, well, of course, intelligent design rather than any other theory, right? Like, so, yeah, I think it's kind of a way of trying to get the person that you're talking to at least to become confounded enough to then be receptive to, oh, maybe I don't really understand this. And then that kind of breaks down their core belief.
Yeah.
And then they're more receptive to religious indoctrination. Maybe.
I don't know. When I watch people like this, I generally don't think that they're trying to convince the person at all, or they wouldn't be calling him a retard and everything else that he's talked to him in this way. I think that this is just banter for his audience. He's not in any way trying to convince this guy of anything.
Yeah, but I mean, it could go both ways for audience too, because obviously
sure.
I am among Jim Bob's audience, so in a way, if that counts, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Yes.
So is it random or not?
I don't believe in randomness. Or
cool.
I mean,
congratulations. You're
but
closer to the truth.
Like you're gonna have to define randomness because it obviously has a different definition from what they use.
You've been using random this whole time.
Yeah.
Like is the throw of the dice random? The throw of the dice random, or is it
the dice? So not random.
The call is getting scratched.
What's the list of
It's
possibilities?
unfortunate. Like, it sounds like his buddy is making it worse.
Yeah, what's the possibility?
What's the list of possibilities?
There's only one possibility once you throw it out of your hand.
No,
so a one-sided dice. You know what a one-sided dice is?
No,
That's design. That's certainty. It's the dumbest thing I've heard today.
All right, a six-sided die.
Yeah. Okay. So
back. Tell me what the 6 options are.
Yeah, you already know.
But is
right?
that random?
I'll give you an example. Black Panthers. Do you know what a Black Panther is?
Oh no. I can't imagine where he's going with this.
The people or the
Am I
cat?
still able to be heard? Yes, a black panther is an occurrence in many cat species where their fur only develops as black, such as a leopard or a cheetah. Okay? Which one is the mutation? When they occur as a black panther or when they occur as a spotted cat?
Isn't that like the same as melanism in humans? They just have different types of occurrences. That's an issue with melanism, I think. Right?
I don't know what the chemical is on it. It seems like when they get the black fur, it has more of a silky, more reflective. I say reflective. It's black. I'm sure it absorbs plenty, but it looks like when the light hits it, right, it has more of a shine or a sheen on it. So I don't know if there's something. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but yeah, his whole argument is going. Which one's the variation? Is it the black fur, or is it the one that doesn't have black fur? It's a stupid.
It's melanin. Yeah, no, it is. Like when I'm looking at it, it's a high concentration of melanin. It's the same thing that occurs in humans.
Yeah.
That's funny.
The mutation is one that is different from the parent organisms.
Yeah, but that parent organism is a mutation by your logic.
And then, it says that melanin is a pigment. Other factors can affect the expression and concentration of melanin over time. But yeah.
This guy's acting like there can't be a mutation.
Even the group of the ones that are quote normal. I know, dude. That's the point. Is that you don't even have a distinction between anything. You just say everything's a mutation, right? Everything is. So like let me tell you, is sickle cell advantageous or disadvantageous in the evolutionary paradigm on net balance?
Picked a great name, but your voice doesn't quite match it.
We have a fix.
Evolution doesn't work by net balance. It's advantageous to whatever's growing. I mean, that's like the worms that can get in your eye and infect your brain. Is this advantageous or disadvantageous in a net balance? What the hell does that matter?
Well, yeah, and again, sickle cell is a defensive operation, right, where you would have died earlier had you not developed the sickle cell, the disease, right? But it would have been advantageous in earlier childhood or whatever. And I think there's a key factor there where you've removed many of these people from their environment, where the place that they were exposed to malaria now is no longer there. So you only see the negative effect and not that positive effect that occurs in other environments.
Yeah, it could be the same thing with making someone live long enough to make past procreation. I'll give you a primary one, that there might be an immediate benefit to the mantis, the female mantis, cutting off the head of the male and eating the body for protein. Is there an immediate advantage to them? Yeah, there is. Might there be a long-term breeding disadvantage that might hurt the group over the long term? Yeah, it may very well. But you can't go back down Mount Probability. You can't devolve that behavior, so to speak.
Right. And because you can't accurately predict all, potential future changes to the environment, there's no way that evolution, use scare quotes, could prepare for changes, right? Like it adapts as things come.
Yeah. From this point here forward, it's always from this point forward. There's no we didn't like the direction we made it.
Well, it is advantageous to prevent mosquitoes from giving you diseases.
Okay, and it's disadvantageous.
Listen, it's advantageous in West Africa.
Okay, so it's not objectively advantageous in the long scheme of things.
I mean, what is objectively advantageous?
I'm asking you, under evolution, is there any such thing as true advantage? Dude, let me ask the question. Under the evolutionary view, is there anything that's objectively advantageous or disadvantageous?
Well, yeah, that which advantageous means spreading your genes, and disadvantageous means preventing the spread of your genes.
Spreading your genes is advantageous?
the definition of advantageous.
Can spreading your genes be disadvantageous?
Uh,
What if you have bad genes?
no,
Terrible
not in
genes.
evolution.
Okay, cool. So if spreading your genes is always advantageous under evolution, if there's a population on a plot of land that has limited resources, is it an advantage to multiply or a disadvantage?
It's advantageous to advantageous to what?
Dude, you just
Like,
said
the
what
survival of the population, or
dude,
just-
So I do apologize. I had to step away for a moment, but I realized that Jim Bob there had made both a eugenics argument and then also an argument from scarcity, which I think is maybe more. I don't know which is more problematic. Actually, they're both pretty bad.
They're both pretty bad. But if a population is evolved a characteristic and they get introduced to an island, it's not like that characteristic can dramatically change to decrease the their level of spreading. You know, it's not like their procreation is going to instantly decrease. But do we have that happen? Yeah, that happens. Your resources are minimal, so you want to decrease in your population increase.
But those are the evolutionary outliers. Like, to be fair to most humans, like actually when faced with a higher population, we developed agriculture, right, and things like this.
I think using humans in any of these examples is a bad idea because humans are engaging in logic that we can't know what is happening as far as what we would call natural selection and what's just logical things that our characteristics is following the path of logic. So
yeah,
I generally don't use
the difference
humans.
between like what Dawkins would refer to as genes or memes versus genes, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Meme evolution.
Right.
It's just unbelievable. So if you define advantageous as spreading your genes, right? That's advantageous. Whatever leads you to spreading your genes is an advantage. That is to say that spreading your genes itself is an advantage. If you take a population,
yes,
dude,
it's advantageous for your genes.
God, dude, oh my gosh, dude, genes are there's an advantage to the thing called the gene.
Use population if you don't like
to
that
its
word.
existence in the
Yeah,
environment.
like your existence literally depends on genetics, on genes. If you're like, how is that advantageous to me? I don't understand.
Well, he loved using this holistic word population constantly. Let's use it right now, and let's just say it's advantageous to the population by definition, because the population size is the success of the population. So it's advantageous
Right.
to the population.
Yeah, could it been more effective? Well, maybe, but there's no other way that it could have occurred because it's the way that it did occur. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gene itself is at an advantage for the multiplication, like through the multiplication of
Yeah, now it exists in more places.
Hold on. If there is a group of populations and their genes are, let's say, wolves or something, and they're on an island and they have limited resources, right, food and everything else, how is it an advantage to the genes to multiply in that instance?
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words,
Yeah, man, you gotta mess with some of these ad blockers, man, or check some of these websites out that you can stream YouTube videos that they'll bypass.
Yeah, I've heard, I guess if I just go through a different browser, it will work, but I don't think
Yeah.
it will let me do that on a Chromebook. I'm not sure how that.
You're on a
works.
Chromebook? Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
with Chromebooks, but I do know that there's like websites that you can do a quick link on the website and it'll show you the video and it won't have any ads on it.
I was thinking that like earlier when I was booting up the stream, I put the links in the description, and I was looking at my documents, and I was like, dude, I would be so screwed. Like, I've lost all of my paper records pretty much. And I was thinking, like, if Google crashed, like, how much would be lost as far as just information, different things that I use on a day-to-day, and I need, you know, records and stuff like that. It's, like, crazy.
I have a giant list of best websites, and I'm going to go look for one in this links, because I think I have one that you can run your YouTube through it and not get any ads at all.
Okay, all right.
I'll send it to you in a minute.
Appreciate that, man.
Isn't that the end? Isn't that possibly the end of their gene line to multiply?
I guess in that's a very specific instance where they overpopulate.
Yeah. Do we see overpopulation in nature
So
right now?
it's advantageous in the short term, but not in the long term, you would say.
So it's arbitrary
But it
based on
doesn't
your
change what the
post.
definition
Yeah,
of
this is our
advantageous
point.
is.
Yeah,
In
this is our
evolution.
point. Dude, this is our point.
This is our point.
You need a human post hoc rationalization for what's deemed.
This is our point. That just never gets old for me.
Hey, see if you want a separate window, can pull that skip cut and drop it in there and see if it'll work. I don't want to mess up anything that you got going, but if you run this link of this video through the skip cut, I haven't used that one in a little while, but I think you'll totally skip the commercials.
All right. I may have to reshare the screen for sure. Let me see.
Oh, I don't want to mess you up, man. You just keep
No,
doing
no,
what you're
it's
playing.
all good. Oh, it now says that I'm sharing. Oh, okay, wait, now I see what happened there.
If you mess it up, it's not my fault, man.
Yeah. Oh no. What the heck happened here? Okay, hold on. So I see, I'm watching it over on Skip Cut here. It booted up from the beginning on the other site, and I was like, what's going on? So let me switch you over to, let me take a second. No. Wait.
I hold no responsibility for this decision, okay? I just sent you a link.
Is it going to be awful?
No, I don't know. Oh, Chrome extensions. Oh, it wants Chrome extensions. I don't know if you get. Oh, you closed it. Maybe that'll work.
Yeah, no, it was playing, but I have to find where it was in the video now. So I think
It's
like
way towards like
50
53
something.
minutes. Yeah, somewhere in there.
51 minutes.
Oh wait, we were past all commercials, and then I told you, hey, why don't you try this commercial?
Hey, well, if it works, we'll be sitting pretty here.
Hey, just whatever leads you to spreading your genes is an advantage. That is to say that spreading your genes itself is an advantage. If you take a population,
yes.
Dude, if
it's advantageous for your genes.
God, dude, oh my gosh, dude, genes are there's an advantage to the thing called a gene.
To its existence in the environment, yeah.
Okay, so the gene itself is at an advantage for the multiplication, like through the multiplication of
in more places.
Hold on. If there is a group of populations and their genes are, let's say, wolves or something, and they're on an island and they have limited resources, right, food and everything else, how is it an advantage to the genes to multiply in that instance? Isn't that the end? Isn't that possibly the end of their gene line to multiply?
I guess in that's a very specific instance where they overpopulate.
Yeah. Do we see overpopulation in nature right now?
It's advantageous.
Do we see species end because of stuff
so
like
it's arbitrary
this? Yes.
based on your post. Yeah, this is our point. Yeah, this is our point, dude. This is our point.
This is our point.
You need a human post hoc rationalization for what's deemed advantageous, which means that
this is our point. The only unfortunate thing with this, and maybe I can find a way around this, is that it pulls up as a separate tab instead of a window, so I can't have it like float in the corner like YouTube. But I mean, yeah, so far so good. I think they seem to be.
Yeah, I didn't know if you could push the bigger button or blow it up, or if that'll wind up messing up. I don't know. Again, I've never messed with this whatsoever. Yeah, it looks like it only has one window, and I don't know how big they'll blow it up on here.
It's covered by a. Oh no, wait, there we go. There we go.
Oh, that might be the trick right there. That might be your future role right there, just to run it like that. If that gets rid of all ads and it's full screen, that might work.
Yeah, especially when like this, there's just like every 5 minutes, man. It's crazy.
Yep.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Means that there is nothing under the evolutionary view in the process itself that's advantageous or disadvantageous. What you're doing is you're taking a human view, and you're taking.
Well,
hold on.
It's
Stop.
advantageous to an
Dude,
injection.
Stop. All you're doing is taking
all
a human.
Voltron would be advantageous
all
to
you're
the
doing,
population.
dude. All you're.
But it'd be disadvantageous to the wolf population.
All you're doing is arbitrarily defining what advantage is based on an arbitrary timeline that you craft yourself. It's all made up.
Well, I mean, it's not. I wouldn't say it's arbitrary. Like, if it worked, like, then you would just record the answer that you would say, okay, it worked this time, right? And so we can use that as knowledge for what might work next time, but we have no guarantee of that. So it's not like we arbitrate what is advantageous to us, like evolutionarily, that, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
I think there's 2 points here. First of all, you can call it the genes, or you can call it the population, or you can call it that set of genes, or however you want to define it. But it is being advantageous to that set, to be able to populate. But as far as the problem that he's talking about, that you run into resource management problems, would it be then disadvantageous? Well, how do you think like 99% of all species on this planet aren't here anymore? This shit happens. We run into dead ends like this that you can't manage resource, and you're populating at a heavy level that the resources in your area you can't maintain it. So this and many other reasons, I think the primary reasons that species go extinct is because something's going on in them that they don't procreate enough, that they're not, for whatever reason, they're just not wanting to mate, or some behavioral thing develops that they don't take care of their young very well. I think we're seeing this like in pandas. I think this is what's happening with the vast majority of pandas. They do almost nothing to care for their child. You could pass a panda some bamboo leaves, and it'll grab the bamboo leaves, and you can literally take the child panda away, and I don't care. Eat my leaves.
Yeah, I think inbreeding is also a big problem in the animal kingdom, right? Like, whenever a species doesn't evolve out of inbreeding behavior, they tend to go pretty quickly, too.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of these kind of disadvantageous to the whole group ruts that they get into, and they get into these ruts, and there's not a way to evolve out of them, so to speak. So what happens is the whole species runs into a dead end.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying something that is advantageous to the existence of a gene is that.
How would you not? How would you know?
Propagating the gene.
How would you know long-term, short-term if you don't have access to long-term time? If something's advantageous or not? You don't.
It's advantageous in the short term or the long term. You would just say that. I mean,
you don't know. There's no. That's
differentiating between like a long-term benefit and a short-term.
Yeah. When does a long-term benefit kick in? Is it 3 years, 10 years? Why does it matter? Yeah, you co-parter. Yeah. Do you think this went
like 3 years, 10 years? He's not understanding like the millions of years, lifetimes upon lifetimes, generations on generations. He's talking in like very short, like 3 years, 10 years to a person who is in their 30s. Is like, hey, that's me. I'm 3 times 10.
What's up, Al Tucker? How's it going, man?
Oh, hey, salutations, Al Tucker. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think about that.
I don't know. This guy's hard to bear. His like, it's strange that he constantly refers back to this. Well, like that we weren't there, but we can't forget that in the back of our heads, this guy still believes that God literally spoke and created, the earth, and we can't even offer the retort of how do you know you weren't there. We're in the same smart ass tone that he offers it, because he's already like, oh no, I don't want to defend that position whatsoever. I just want to, for the purposes of this argument, I concede that God doesn't exist. I'm just trying to shit on evolution.
Yeah. And it is ridiculous because, I mean, in his politics, everything is like, Christian nationalist, authoritarian, theocracy is like his whole game too, right? He's like, oh, I can't actually defend the religion. I just think it's my right to have it, and there's more of us than there are of you, and that's his whole thing. So if he could go dunk on some evolutionists, well, that's just, points for the home team, right?
Yeah. It's all gap argument. The whole thing's gap argument. This isn't true because you can't explain it. It's the totality of his argument.
Yeah.
This went well for you today?
Do you think your life has gone well? You're fucking a political cartoonist.
What? What does my life have to do with
You'll get published one
the
day.
question? I am published. I'm nationally published.
Oh, that was great. I love that. Hold on, come back with it again. One more time.
Do you think your life has gone well? You're fucking a political cartoonist.
What?
I mean, not to dunk too much. I mean, I enjoy me some political cartoons, but he is himself kind of a political cartoon. I mean... Trucker's his walking contradiction.
Yeah. I just want to take the recording of him saying, I concede that God doesn't exist. I just want to take that recording and just play little videos of it.
Yeah. Well, for the purpose of this argument, I concede that unicorns are totally real, man. I mean, it's fine. Let's just get to the meat and potatoes here, right? Yeah. You could say anything, but I do. This is why if I'm not trying to dox anybody here. If this is somebody who's been on this channel before, I mean, well done. He made it all the way through this hour, and he really didn't. He kind of threw back a little bit of ad hoc. Mostly, he was repeating what Jim Bob said back to himself. Yeah. But then he pulled that one out, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is good, right?"
Yeah. I think when you get into the subject about biology, you have to be very knowledgeable to answer, because from Jim Bob's side, he doesn't need to know anything about biology. All he needs to know is enough to say, well, but you can't explain this. How did a liver develop systemically? Give me the steps. So from your side to argue in defense of evolution, you have to know everything. Jim Bob doesn't have to know anything whatsoever, and he just does this gap argument. Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. So, but he doesn't want to be put in the same position, so he just divests from the God argument altogether and says, well, for the purpose of this argument, God doesn't exist. So he doesn't have to know anything or defend anything.
Yeah, I mean, also he's completely, skipping over the fact that, cells evolve at with like a smaller, a meta level, if you will, or whatever. So the fact of like cellular evolution versus, all of these things, what it takes to make up an organism from, many constituent parts, he just wants to skip over that entirely and be like, well, how do we put all these things together? It couldn't have taken time. Somebody just had to have slapped this thing together, right? I think it's kind of what it breaks down to, and that's really what he's kind of saying.
Yeah, to some degree. He's doing a few different dog and pony tricks. One of the main ones he keeps maintaining is the observable. Well, you couldn't observe it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not something that you can observe.
There, man.
So,
yeah.
Right. Exactly. You weren't there, man. You weren't there.
Silliness.
What does my life have to do with
You'll get published one day.
question? I am published. I'm nationally published. What are you talking about?
Shit, nationally.
The question was, do you think you did well today?
I don't give a fuck what you think I did. I know I did better.
I
than
asked you what you think. I didn't say what I
just
think.
told you I did better than you.
So you think you did well today?
I don't give a damn what you think I did.
I asked what you think. How do you think you did? That has nothing to do with what I think. What do you think you did?
Gone well. Rolling on the
Well,
floor.
how do you
after
think you
emerging
did?
The cope.
How do I think I did?
How do you think you did? Yes.
Oh, this is run of the mill. I've done this 1,000
you did
times.
so good.
I did just fine. Just fine. Just fine.
You don't even believe in climate change, dude.
Climate change? Are you actually not
Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. Yep.
I'm going to talk about climate change?
Yeah, you don't fucking believe.
I
you're
do.
a dumbass if
What are you
don't believe
talking
that
about?
one.
I believe climate always changes. What are you talking about?
Okay,
Always.
do you believe it's changing to get warmer and fucking worse?
It has done and has.
He's giving away now. He's talking about, wait, do you believe in human caused climate change? And he's like, no, I just think climate always changes. It's one of those arguments.
That's
Get into
where they're
politics
at.
again.
That's
Yeah.
where they're at now. I think that's the mainstream. It used to be, and it's weird. It's a lot of this has transitioned in my lifetime. That it used to be that it's not happening at all, and there's nothing happening. Then it's happening, but it's nothing to worry about. And then it's progressed into, it's happened so many times in the past. It's very natural. And now I think the final stage is, it's happening, but it's not us that's causing it. It happens natural anyway. There's nothing we could do about it. So this is where they're now at. They've finally slidden into this position we still don't have to do anything. Bottom line is we still don't have to do anything to change.
I think it's great that they act like it's no big deal, man. But even if you don't account for whatever we've done since the Industrial Revolution, right? Like the Ice Age, we know that it happened. We have evidence of it, and the Ice Age happened due to climate change, right? And we know that and it was a major extinction event. We didn't go extinct, but a lot of other species did, right? and they're just like, Ice Ages happen. We'll be fine. It'll be great.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I'll give mad points to the popes in the past in the last two, that have said that the last one that we had before this new one said that we're stewards of the planet and that it's our responsibility to take care of it. Because what's happened is there's this disconnect that people that are fundamentalists and nationalist Christians here say, whatever's happening, it's God's will, so they write it off responsibility of doing anything about it under the auspice that God's guiding it all. He'll fix it all. If this is what's happening, then that's what God wants us to happen. We don't need to, be concerned with it. Whereas the ideal, that is one of the most destructive things about Christianity, that there's this, if we're going towards an apocalyptic thing and we know that we're causing it, somehow God's got his hands on it. It must be what God wants. We don't need to do anything about it. This is the most destructive characteristic that we as humanity can have, that we're all going towards death and destruction. We don't need to worry about it. Don't do anything about it. It's all God's will. But when we have inside of that Christology, inside of the Christian belief, some resistance in that says, listen, for whatever their doctrine is, and the doctrine that they put forward is, God gave us stewardship over the planet, and we're supposed to be the ones that take care of it. If it's in a bad condition, it's our responsibility to fix this. And if they want to take that on from a Christian perspective and say it's our responsibility to take care of it because God wants us to, that's fine by me. I don't care what the hell reasoning you give. I want to take care of it because this is the planet. This is the rock I live on, and it's the rock that my grandchildren are going to live on. So that's my reasons and my motivations. But if you want to say, God gave stewardship to us and we need to take care of it, that's fine. It's still better than what this guy's doing. But I don't worry about it. It's all in God's hands.
Yeah. And also kind of a fuck it all attitude.
Fuck it all.
I've never heard him say this, but some of them are like, whatever gets us to the rapture the fastest, right? They really believe that whole,
You ever seen the movie Waterworld?
Yeah.
With Kevin Bacon? There is an old man that is down inside of the tank in the tanker. Do you remember the old man that is keeping the level of the oil in the tanker? Do you know that?
It sounds familiar.
All right. He's completely isolated in the dark constantly. He's an old shriveled up man. He almost never gets any sunlight. And when the door opens to the top, when Kevin Bacon's there at the final fight scene, he has a flare and he has it lit in his hand, and he drops it, and the flare is going down towards the oil. And the old man looks up and says, "Oh, thank God." It's finally all over with, because I know when that flare hits the oil, this whole cinema bitch, this is all over with.
Right.
But that's what I get as an impression from religious people regularly, that when we're seeing the end come, there's oh, thank God, the silver lining of the end of the world.
Yeah, and they also have that underlying belief that like everything out there is some demonic force trying to get them. So
yeah.
It's climate changed to colder too in the past. So what's your point? The climate always has changed, even went up and down without carbon.
But do humans have no effect on
Dude,
climate? Or
let
do
me.
they have
Are you
some effect
listening?
on the
Hey,
climate?
hey, Robert, listen to what I'm saying.
Oh, so I guess you
let's
can't
get
answer
no,
that
no.
one
Let's
with
get
a
back
yes
to
or
no. Let's get back to.
He called him a retard again.
If it's the case that what you're assuming is caused by humans, the same effect happened before humans had the capacity to influence it. How do you
So that means they have no capacity to influence it,
Dude,
right?
listen to what I'm saying, dummy. If it's the case where a time existed in which the current scenario, the circumstances that you're saying is caused by humans, if there was a scenario in the past that existed with the same circumstances, same conditions, that wasn't produced by humans, how are you going to determine whether or not we're causing this if it happened in the past without us? How do you determine
You can look into the isotopes of the carbon in the air.
Dude,
you can see that there are different isotope readings from like.
Dude, how do you
70 years
determine
ago.
that humans produce the conditions that already existed before humans influenced them?
How do we determine that humans created stuff that were before humans?
Dude, there's a phenomenon that exists called increased global
This gets back to his berry argument thing that he had a problem with, as if you have to have the result of somebody eating the berry and die before you can know definitively, rather than to test the amount of poison that is inside of the berry. This is something we were talking about. I think you're muted, Tristan. I don't know if you're trying to talk.
yeah, no, sorry, I had to switch my earbud out again, and I'm still working on it. But yeah, does seem like he's making the same argument there.
It is. We can't know, we can't know that the environment that we're in right now, that this wasn't naturally caused, because we don't have a way of determining the output that we're putting out. What a crock of shit. Experiencing some technical difficulties.
global temperature, decreased global temperature, and the rest. By the way, they used to call it global warming, and they changed that because it was retarded. So they said climate change in general.
Stupid lie you guys make up.
No, that's
You guys
actually
make
true.
up.
How old are you?
20.
Yeah, you're 20, so you don't know. I'm 44, so we all remember. No,
That's a fucking old ass man fallacy.
No. We remember
Use
when
the old ass man fallacy. That's not justified.
No, I'm telling you that you weren't around when the first cascade of climate alarmism happened and when they promised the end of the world. You weren't around then.
But that was just some crazy people. That probably wasn't most scientists. Do you think
No,
most
it was
scientists
Al
came back from
Gore
the
with
wars
the
saying-
entire. No, it was
Okay,
Al
so
Gore.
Al Gore, the scientist.
Al Gore with the backing of the entire scientific. Dude, you're such an idiot. Al Gore in the entirety of the climate science arena, the entirety of it. Same climate, same
Said that
cult.
The world is going to end in 40 years.
Yeah, like literal actual scientists. They're in a cult. They're trying to get you with, like just being better to the environment. Like it's somehow like really detrimental to these people. That's insane.
Well, I'll tell you this: the per degree change, I think we're only within 30% of it, what we originally thought that the change per temperature or per year was going to be. So we did think that it was going to be a little warmer. So it's going slower than that older projection under Al Gore. but the change is still happening at a far faster rate than we've seen inside of the geological record, that we've seen inside of the ice bubble capsule. So I think that we're getting a change. It's not as fast as what they originally thought it was, but it's definitely still happening. But I love that he kind of just gives away the ball, that the entire scientific apparatus backs this position. So I don't know what he'll say after that as far as in defense of his position. If he'll start saying, well, there's plenty of scientists that say, that it's not happening, after he's already given away the whole ball, that the entire scientific apparatus has said that it is.
Right, yeah.
40 years.
Same cult. Same claims.
No, they didn't. They said it's going to end in 40 years.
They said it was worse, I think. I have to look it up.
The whole Earth is going to be flooded in 40 years?
Yeah, they said all of New York was going to be underwater.
In 40 years?
I think less, they said.
Oh, they said it's going to be New York is going to be
10. I think they said 10.
It started even before.
You think Al Gore said that? Come on.
What? No, dude, you don't even know. Just look it up. What the climate alarmists were saying around the time of Al Gore before you were
I'm
born.
sure some people were saying crazy stuff, but that is
not some people.
He just did ageism before you were born. Like I was there when I was young, but I was there when Gore did all that.
Entire cult that was trying to levy that on us and try to influence policy. Dude, you're not listening, dude. Dude, you're not listening. What happened, the same thing you're experiencing today was already experienced by us. They did the same thing to us, and they said that we're, New York and Miami, they're all going to be underground and underwater, and it's going to be crazy in 10 years if we don't stop this, if we don't move away from oil and all the same fucking shit, dude. And nothing happened.
Some people said that. But
no, not some people.
Yeah, that's it's different. He's talking about two different things. So like climate change and then the geologic shift, right? Like people have been talking about the San Andreas fault splitting for a while, and like what that means, because like Southern California could literally like fall into the sea potentially, right? It's a hypothetical, but it looks likely. Like that's part of tectonic plates and things like that. And he's like, well, they told us tectonic plates could happen, but they don't have any evidence of it because we don't see it happening. And we do, in fact, see geologic formation shifting, like, measurably, observably over time while we're here. So, I don't know. That's ridiculous, I guess.
What I'm seeing is from the National Oceanography that we've gotten 6 to 8 inches in the last 50 years. That it's which that's extraordinarily fast.
People, dude, unbelievable, dude. All right,
yeah,
I gotta prep for my my next stream at 3:30.
Yeah, you gotta take your prep. I get that.
I gotta what?
Are you taking prep still, or
taking what?
Are you desperately trying to insult him? Just shut up, dude. Let him exit his stream.
What are you saying, dude? I don't know what you're rambling about. Anyway, so yeah.
Prep and make sure.
What? Now at least I know you're 20-year-old, so at least you're acting appropriate to your age, I guess.
Oh well, that was an abortion, hidden role in motion.
Yeah, apologize. Give me a second here. I'm going to turn off my...
I'm fixing to be getting off here anyway, man. Sorry for all the background racket.
Oh, you're good. Thanks for coming by. Just put on all the safeguards here. Yeah, my Bluetooth died there, and like the other one was connected, but it wouldn't let me switch from one device to the other. It kept reconnecting to my dead earbuds and going back to the other one. So that sucked right there at the end. But anyway, everything that can go wrong will go wrong on the Trusty 8 podcast. And we've been here for darn near 3 hours. with more or less no tech issues as far as I can tell, other than that thing just now with the earbud. So I guess that's kind of a success, sort of. I believe so. So we can plan to use this methodology to conduct further scientific experiments later on and at another time. But I do thank everybody for coming by for this interesting excursion. Let me know if you think Sterling is our mystery interlocutor there at the Jim Bob video. If you're watching this later, that was the question. We had Viking Silverwolf who agreed with me there that it might be Sterling, and I think maybe it is, in my humble opinion, of course. Had Skeptic Philosophy and James Apperson, special guests over here on the panel. We also saw Broja's 420 Cafe, Captive Desk, and Al Trucker in the side chat. And thus has been a relatively productive stream. And we're just having fun here on a Sunday afternoon, grooving, as it were. And I'll play you out with a little song, a little ditty. It goes like this. Okay, I guess that worked. Much love. Be well. Stay trusty.